5 to 2. But you know, the sun is shining, so I thought I'd just have done with it, right? Thank you very much for joining me again on this beautiful Sunday. It is a gorgeous. Hopefully you're lying in the backyard somewhere with a beer in your hand and enjoying yourself, because you know that is the whole point of today. John Carney is in very early there with a €5 donation through the super chats. Thank you very much. You're straight up to the very front of the queue, sir, when anything happens. And the email has come out on time. I updated to iOS 14. Has anyone else noticed? Anyone else do that? I literally just updated to it. It looks deadly with the new widgety thing. It looks different, but deadly. I really like it. So far, it's been about 10 minutes, so I wouldn't get excited just yet. I'm only breaking a few minutes. Anyone who has joined from TikTok, thank you very much. TikTok, my channel has gone into like 36,000 followers on TikTok now. It's quite a big channel, and there's 2,000 questions a day, and it's pretty hard to keep up with, but it's good fun. Really positive response from TikTok. Have to say, it ain't just for kids, guys. I've been there for ages now, roaming around, getting all the questions in from all the people, and it's been absolutely brilliant. So I've really enjoyed the experience of TikTok. There have been a lot of questions about insurance and cheap cars and first insurance and cheap insurance. So many questions about insurance that insurance companies started to get in touch with me, and that's no messing. And I've actually got someone who wants to set up their own car insurance company to deal with young drivers. So it's on the way. I'm literally talking to a fella about that. Someone else wanted me to set up an OnlyFans account. I ain't getting naked for no man, no matter what. Sorry now. But I suppose I can try. But actually what I want to do is do something nice do it nice. Do a nice thing for people and show them around luxury cars and things. But it's been an adventurous week, I have to say. Sorry, I'm trying to type something around my mic, which is covering half my keyboard. It's been an adventurous week. So far, I put up the Golf, ID3 video up, and like thousands and thousands and thousands of people came to watch it. I see Fury is looking for the Opel Grandland X review. I still actually have that car sitting outside the door. It's really good. It's expensive, but it's really good. It's like 50 grand for that car. But it's actually the best car that Opel has made in years. You get all the best bits of Peugeot, but you get knobs and physical buttons and things, and the steering wheel's a normal size, and it's lovely. It's really nice. Mike Walsh, good afternoon, Bob. How will we, car dealers, value electric cars in the future? Like old iPhones, no one wants the model because of the range issues after 3 years. You're right, Mike. The fact of the matter is, we right now we have an incredibly distorted market in the EV range. It's really distorted, and this is a big problem, because there's a high demand as people see the tax benefits and the possible fuel benefits, if their mileage is about right, that they could actually save a lot of money. So people are starting to go, wow, I want an EV. So there's a buoyancy to the market that is distorting the value of older EVs. But now you can still pick up Nissan Leaf Generation 1 for next to nothing, but you know what, you're going to go from here to the top of the town and back, and it'll be half empty. So the range is rubbish on them. It was rubbish when they were brand new. It's definitely rubbish now. So the problem is, car dealers don't necessarily want to get involved. They don't really even want to sell you the bloody electric car, because they won't. You're going to be coming back to them in 3 years time, and then they're going to sell that car again. They have to take it back in and do something with it. So where does that leave the value of those cars as they come and go? You know, this is a big head. We really got to consider that, because EV twitchers, and I do call them, I'm sorry if that's derogatory towards you, but I do call EV twitchers people who do nothing but think about EV and how the EV is so cool and all that, you know. And they are cool for sure, but I do totally get it when they say, listen, we can recycle all these cars and all that. But that doesn't help me as an ordinary buyer of a vehicle who changes his car every 5 years. I don't, but changes his car every 3 to 5 years, and I buy a brand new EV, and I want to move on to another EV, and that's fine. I'm going on to another new EV. Now, what happens to one I just got rid of? Is that going to be worth anything, something, a lot of thing? Will anybody want it? Will the range jump so high? And I was saying this last couple of years on the service here, that the range was 10 years ago, it was 100 kilometers with a rear tailwind. Now it's at 500 kilometers. Pretty okay. What happens then that's only 10 years. So, and we really have only researched battery technology in the past 3 or 4 years. So it really is only the last 4 years that huge leaps have happened. So what happens in the next 5 years? when the ID3 that I reviewed recently does 350 kilometers, 400 kilometers all day long, what happens when that car, that same ID3 in 3 years' time, can do 1,000 kilometers? What happens to the one I bought yesterday? Just, something you got to think about. Mr. Cahill09 has paid to ask a question. This is straight to the top of my list. We do like to be paid to be asked the questions. I literally answered about 6 billion questions on TikTok and never even mentioned a PayPal. Anyway, Mr. Cahill says, afternoon Bob, any opinions on a new Corsa Leon hatchback or estate? Barred wheels, I think they're absolutely gorgeous. New Corsa Leon. Say it, Leon? The Seat Leon is gorgeous. I really like the Seat Leon. I'm actually picking up another one next week, the diesel one. I'm also picking up a Yaris, but I'm picking up the diesel one of the Seat Leon next week, and I'm hoping to drive that for the whole week. I've actually got a test for it to do, a very long drive for it to do, that I'm hoping is going to be something that I can use to get some new data. I want to test. I'm looking for data. Seat don't know anything about it yet, so I'm not going to tell anyone just yet either. But yes, Seat Leon is absolutely gorgeous. Buy it in a standard spec. The FR has weird suspension, and I still find wireless Apple CarPlay a little bit finicky. It just doesn't seem to want to connect up the way you think it does. But the car is actually better than the Golf. I'm sorry, Volkswagen, but your Leon is better than the Golf. Cahill Lenihan. Hi Bob, I know you've talked about car types as regard to insurance or any other tips when you phone the company as a first time driver. First time driver is a big one. It comes up a lot, right? First of all, it's a question of numbers, right? So generally speaking, you've got two versions of getting a quote. So you go online sometimes, you go to a website, you fill in all the bloody details. At the end of it, they tell you it's $4,000, right? Which frightens the crap out of you. But some people are a bit dim, so they just go, yeah, okay, I'll buy $3,000. I'll take that, yeah, done. So they offer you a big number, and usually the first number on the table is the ones you always negotiate about. So if you're ever looking to get paid for something, and you walk into the room, the guy goes, how much is a day's work? And you go, €500. Just say it. And he goes, whoa, that's a bit expensive. But that's the number you're going to negotiate around now. So it's going to be $450 you're going to get now, or $400, when he would have offered you $200. You know what I mean? So always be the first number out. But with insurance, I have found the best thing to do is to go onto a price comparison website. So get up early, get yourself a nice cup of tea, sit down with your phone and a laptop, go onto a price comparison website, put in the details of everything you want, get the lowest quote from the price comparison website. That is your target. Now you have to beat the target from the price comparison website. Then you start phoning. Out of the list of quotes you just got, you start phoning every single insurance company and say, hey, here's all my details, give me a quote. And you go, okay, do better. I've got a better quote than that. The better quote than that is this. And you tell them what the quote is. Seeking to beat it. All they have to do is beat it by €10. And done, you're in. So literally, this is the only possible way to get good insurance. I do the same thing every year. I have some pain sitting down every single year since I've started driving. I've done the same thing, and every year I get usually a better quote than I had last year, to a point, and then it starts to drift back up and then it goes back down again. But 9 times out of 10, I will get a better quote every single time. So I promise you, Cahill, if you just sit down as a first time driver, get your car details out, get all your stuff together, sit down there with a nice cup of tea, have your breakfast, and just do nothing for the next 2 hours other than be on the phone, going onto the price comparison websites, do the legwork, do the hard graft, and you will walk away from that with, like on TikTok, people are telling me their quotes and how much they paid. Everything from €700 to $7,000 has come in as quotes. That's like across the board, all first-time drivers and everything in between. So the gulf between a good quote and a bad quote is very high. Don't know all the details around that, obviously. S. Kerr says, hi Bob, love the Sunday service. It's great. Rule number 1, guys, if you're coming in and you're brand new here, is just ask the question once. I promise you I will answer every single question that is asked of me today. Everyone, I stay until the bitter end. Some of the people who join me every week also stay to the bitter end, but I will stay to the bitter end. I'll answer all your questions. You don't need to repeat the question multiple times, because I noticed loads of you after coming on this week. I had a vocal zone thing. It's a little lozenge to help me through it, and now it's repeating on me. It's not nice. Where were you? Right, Campervan Creations, that's Jamie. Afternoon Bob, died for back, missed the last couple of sincere apologies, Jamie, I forgot to answer your email. Yeah, start a TikTok, man. It's brilliant, deadly. Although I don't know how I did it. I've no idea how I got that many subscribers in a week. I don't. 30 something thousand subscribers in a week and a half or something. Absolutely mental. But it was worth it. Definitely was worth it. The amount of interactions, new audience, new people coming, new questions. I've learned things from people on TikTok. You learn stuff coming in at you. You give the information out. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Eric Rochford's in the house. Oh man, Eric Rochford, I love it, man. That's the man who's going to have the ban hammer this week as well. So he banned left, right and centre last week. Just for fun he was banning. For the crack, like. And he wasn't. He was doing a very tick job last week. A lot of new people on last week asking gazillions of questions. Flavinite Disciple is here. Of course, you're called Flavinites now, aren't you? All the Sunday service crew are Flavinites. Good afternoon, everybody. Not too mileage here for the next 3 weeks. You won't be here for next week. I probably won't be here next week either, by the way. I don't think I'll be doing the Sunday service next week. My wife is taking a day off and she wants me to go somewhere. Just know where. Could be Waterford, could be Cork, could be here in Portlaoise. We could end up just sleeping in the morning and doing nothing else, but I'm not sure what we're going to be doing, but I don't think we'll be out. Hi Bob, a bunch of video of the Grandland out this morning. Sauvage. It'll be next week, I think, late next week. I think I might do 2 videos next week, so I put out the Audi RS7 as the next video. It's currently in editing, and then I might do the Grandland after that. But I actually have a pile of other videos that are sitting there just in case the pandemic locks down the country in some way that I can't make more videos. I always have enough videos left over to kind of creep along no matter what happens. So fear not, there will be a consistent amount of videos coming out, which is vitally important. That's my front door. Which will be vitally important, of course, to keep the videos rolling as long as possible. Annie McAfee says, hi, all awesome weather here today. It is literally just a plain blue sky out there. There is not a single cloud in it, but there is a seagull passing over. Do you know we're in the wrong part of the country, boy? Jeez, the seagulls around here will eat you because we don't have seagulls. The ones around here are hardened criminal seagulls who couldn't make it in Dublin. S-Car says, hi all. Any speculation on what Elon Musk will say on Battery Day? God love us. It doesn't matter what he says. He could literally say, I'm going to paint the sky green, and everyone will go, yay, you go Elon. Right? Isn't it true? That's everything he does. The amount of comments on the video of the ID3 that come from Teslarati types, and one of them was particularly pointing. One of them was like, save us, Elon, from these Germans trying to do the thing with electric car. And you kind of go, hold on a second. ID3 is not a Tesla Model 3. It was never meant to be. It was meant to be sort of an affordable car that Volkswagen put out. But still, the comparison is always there, isn't it? John Carney says, good afternoon, Bob. I didn't know there was a question attached to that money. Sorry, John, but I asked that first. And the Sunday service, great video on the ID3. I have to say, as driving instructor, it's a great way of keeping up to date with current technology out there. Well done, thank you, no problem at all. Of course, anyone who is taking a test or driving instructor test or having a lessons or whatever like that, I strongly advise you to do it in a manual car, not an automatic car, because if you take your test in an automatic, you're only licensed to drive an automatic from there on out. You can't drive manual without another test. Okay, so I know there's an awful lot of new cars going on the market right now that are automatic, and all electric cars are automatic, but if you don't learn how to use a manual, you will regret it in the future at some point, because automatic cars are more expensive for a start to buy. All of them are, so just bear that in mind. Automatics are brilliant. I'm desperately lazy, so I get really annoyed when I see someone gives me a manual car as a press car, because I just prefer to go D, go, that's it, D, accelerator, good luck, and then the go, stop pedal. That's all I want to deal with. I have no interest in dealing with to press a third pedal. M. Jones says, Toyota cut production of the RAV4 Prime to the US to 5,000 units due to battery availability. Any other brands affected by this? This is something that's happening literally worldwide. So the problem is, it was fine when like Tesla was making its own batteries, but only selling a handful of cars. They sound like a really big, busy company, but actually they're not a huge part of a market, right? They sell a good few cars for sure, but realistically on a global scale, if you think as a global brand, they don't really sell that much compared to someone like Volkswagen or Toyota particularly, who would be VW and Toyota as two brands would swap places quite regularly as the top sellers in the world. But the problem is that Volkswagen wants some batteries, and they're getting them from LG, I think, in Korea. Toyota's doing the same thing, so they're after their little Prius batteries, and they want their hybrid batteries, but they're also bringing an electric car, so they want their electric batteries. And then China is doing an awful lot of the manufacturing of electric components for the batteries and for the motors. So there's precious metals and things that are being mined in China for the motor of the electric car. So there's all that combined is causing quite a collapse in the amount of supply when it comes to batteries and battery technology and the things that go into your cars. And so we're running aground. Essentially, not only are we stuck with the 95 grams of CO2 thing, but we're also stuck to the point that there's not enough batteries to supply all of the markets of the world. And here's Ireland, which I find really humorous, the amount of people on places like Twitter and stuff who come in and go, yes, we should all be driving electric cars because, you know, Hollywood's on fire, or Los Angeles, wherever it is on fire. And you go, how is buying an electric car over here got anything to do with them lads being on fire over there? It doesn't make any sense. That's not going to solve. Biddy down in Westmead there, buying an electric car to replace her Starlet is not going to save the environment. I'm still of an opinion that holding onto your car as long as is humanly possible would probably be the least environment impact, because nothing new is being built for you. So I'm a person who likes to reuse, fix, replace bits inside something that I'm fixing to make it work again. I'm that kind of person. I'm that kind of weirdness that I've actually learned to change batteries in watches and stuff. So I have a whole kit to do watch repairs downstairs. I'm that weird. So I like that. That really entertains me, to change a battery. In a G-Shock, it's really hard. There's a gasket and everything in a G-Shock. You got to be really careful with them. Otherwise, they just leak. Brendan Duffy. Afternoon, everyone. This is my first Sunday service. Congratulations, you have popped your cherry. Found Bob on TikTok last week, 10 days ago, and subscribed to the channel. Watched a few of the videos. All looks good and very informative. Thanks, Brendan. Good to have you aboard. The Sunday service is a cool place. Lots of friendly faces. Lots of guys who know, and I've been here since the start of it, actually, years ago. We do it every Sunday. It's like a radio show. You don't actually have to watch unless you fancy watching me for 2 hours. That's all you get to see, really. So you can just sit back and relax and turn it on like a radio, and it comes out that way. Speaking of radio, we should probably give a mention to my favourite, at the moment, my favourite thing to actually do at the moment is actually listen to Noah, which is a news source, and in the links down below, you can certainly find a discount which gives you 50% off a year subscription to Noah. Noah's news over audio, so you get to listen to the news, which comes from sources like Bloomberg or the Washington Post, the Washington Times, international big sources, and they condense it down into an audio format that listens like a podcast. And I actually listened to Noah this morning on a great big long run that I had, my first long run since I got over my injuries. I started to lose a little bit of weight as well. I started to trim down a small bit, but I actually went back running. So I use Noah now to listen to stuff on the morning, and it's on your phone. It's on an app on your phone, NOA. Absolutely brilliant thing, and they're a massive supporter of the channel as well. They really have gone all out to make sure that everybody here, it's on my phone. I constantly listen to the thing. It's on my phone, and I love it every single day. You can get it too. Click on the link down below and go over to the Noah website, and you get 50% off, so 60 quid for the entire year. For the entire year, unlimited, go wherever you want. And if you can't do the link down below, if you just go to News Over Audio website, and on the checkout bit, you can put in the code Flavin, and it'll get you 50% discount as well. Share that with your friends, work away, that's fine. You don't have to be here a Sunday service subscriber, but it really does help the channel here. Noah helps the channel in a big way, so the more of you guys that sign up, the more help I get from Noah, and the less I go on about PayPal and Patreon and all them things. Although you can do that as well. PayPal and Patreon are still there. But yes, if you can help out Noah and help out, it's an Irish brand as well, by the way. Lovely guys working out of Dublin. I'm going to call in one of the days and have a chat to them in their office. But a really good little program, so check it out. Noah. Mark King says hello, thank you. Marty O, afternoon Bob and Flavinites, loved your ID3 review. I keep saying tree, and every time I say tree, everybody, all the English and American people come on and go, he says tree like a tree you cut down, instead of three, which I don't. Irish people are crap at TH. We just always work because it's not our natural language, English like. Aaron Murray, what do you think of the Ford Mondeo 2012 1.6 litre diesel? Yeah, they're a pretty good car. No, that diesel's a little bit underpowered for a big car like the Mondeo. It's a big thing, like it's a big car. They brought in a 1.6 because they wanted to kind of get the tax levels down on the car, you know, so you wouldn't pay so much tax on it. But it's actually a really big, roomy, nice car to drive. 1.6 is relatively dependable. Got to change the timing belt and water pump on schedule. 2012 to now be well due by this stage, or near enough, you know. Near enough. Make sure they're changed on time. It's pretty sensitive on oil, so make sure you're using the correct oil. There's a good little app on the Castrol website that you put in the car, and it gives you the exact specifications of the oil that goes into your engine. That's worth a look. because Castrol would be one of the brands I would definitely trust of the oil brands. I had a Toyota Carina once upon a time, and I only ever used Castrol GTX Magnatec in it, 10W40, and it ran like a peach. God, I was sorry I sold that car. I don't know why I sold that car. I bought the Leon, that's why I sold that bloody car. I should have held on to it and put it in the garage and left it there, because it was immaculate. Never a taxi. 97 Carina. It's still on the road. The guy I sold it to still has it, and still every once in a while I meet him and they go, I can't believe this car never gave me a single day's trouble because I serviced it so well. Anyway, Adam Common says, well, Bob, you're doing well on TikTok, fair play, thanks very much. Yeah, I don't know what the count is up today, but it's like 36,500 it was last night anyway, I think. I stopped counting after a bit. It was hard to keep up, so I just gave up and stopped counting on it. But they're brilliant, lovely people. Instagram's gone the same way. Here on YouTube, we got 3,000 new people joined us in the last little bit on YouTube, and that's coming from TikTok as well. Lots of people just finding the brand, which is cool. That's cool because, you know, I can answer questions and people like to ask them. JV, good man, JV, good to have you. Get Finneganed. What's that mean? Get Finneganed. Alright. Saw an Alfa Romeo 4C, my first time seeing one, very small looking in real life. It's dingy car. I'm not even sure that comes up to my hip like the 4C. Anyways, it's a review of it on the channel, a white one. I still remember the day, myself and Leah Carbon up to Fiat to collect a car, and there was a Alfa 4C sitting out in the car park, and I rang the sales or the PR manager for Alpha. Went, any chance I can have a spin and okay. He goes, yeah. And the two of us messed off down to Kildare and zooming about in the 4C. Great car. It's only 800 kilos. Like, it's tiny, and it feels every bit of that in the road. There's no heaters or nothing. It's brilliant to drive. It's really noisy and really aggressive and just a cool car. Definite collector's item for sure. But they're tiny. It's like a little tiny shoe. The Singing Shade, 1:55 p.m. got your notification. Oh, sorry, 1:55 p.m. got your notification. It started today's service. Woohoo! The service has gone out properly. We have, we're a bit down, but it goes down. See, this time of the year is kind of funny. When you get a sunny day, people just run out the back and they don't come near you after that. So that's okay. They're allowed to be out the back and enjoy themselves. You don't forget to subscribe when you're here, while you're at it, and you can support the channel in multiple ways on the list of links down below. Some of them cost you money, other ones don't. You know, if you're buying something from Amazon, you can go to my store, enter the Amazon store, buy what you want, and it costs you nothing, but I actually got a cut of that. Isn't that wild? And I'm all for getting money off Amazon, lads. That's because Amazon, like, seriously. Anyway, Hellhound is here. Thanks, Hellhound. Greetings from fellow Flavinites. Zalatan, I can't pronounce your last name. As a novice driver who really wants a brand new car as a first car on PCP, which to choose? You're going PCP, are you? Ford Focus ST line, Ford Fiesta ST line, or say a Beta FR if Ford would go 1 litre EcoBoost on 27. So you're looking for a brand new car on PCP, Ford Focus ST line. So there's your choices, boys. What do you think? I would be a Ford Fiesta ST line in that. Because it's smaller, you get the smaller engine, you can have the EcoBoost in it, and you're on PCP, so you'd be worth a little bit in 3 years' time, and you're going to get rid of it. I would be a Fiesta ST line. Does anyone want to go Ford Focus for Zala? You know, the back seat of the Ford Focus would be bigger for fun, like. Paul O'Connor. Hi guys, hello from Dingle. Not a cloud in the sky. Dingle, I was down there a few weeks ago. Beautiful. God, one of my favourite parts of the country, that is. Unless when it's not flooded with tourists, obviously. But yeah, Dingle is actually good crack. I hope you're not from Dublin, Paul. Just checking. Dublin is locked down. No, not really locked down, just kind of locked down. Andy McAfee, hit the like button and share either your stream and all your like-minded friends and family. Yeah, just hit your brother, sister, uncle, aunt, whatever it is on the shoulder and get them to turn on their laptop and fire it up, get some extra bits. Yeah, click the like button on the way in, please. It's really good because that just tells YouTube what's going on. And of course, YouTube is in a disaster zone at the moment for views. It's weird. It's a very weird place to be. I hope as young people out there that I'm talking to every once in a while aren't setting out to be YouTubers in the future. Let me put it that way. It's now at the moment dog eat dog on YouTube. It's happening quite regularly. Mark King, what do you think of the 2008-2009 Renault Laguna 1.5 DCI? Laguna! That's a name I have not heard in a very long time. The Laguna died a death. Slowly but surely they made it worse and worse and worse over time, until eventually the front of it was very odd looking. The back was still pretty. And the car had kind of lost ground, and Renault sort of gave up on it. And I always had a real soft spot for Laguna. Such a comfortable car. Every generation was more comfortable than the next. It's just a really comfy thing to be in. 1.5 TCI is a really dependable engine. It's still around today. Like, that engine is still going into Renaults and Nissans. Now it's 1.6. I think they reboarded at one point for 1.6 for emissions reasons, but the 1.5 was around for years. A bit noisy. You definitely got to do the timing belt and the water pump really early on them. So you make sure when you're buying the car, if the timing belt isn't already done, do it. Don't even think about it. Get it done, because if it goes, it will take the car with it. But they're a fairly dependable yoke. The old Laguna was a good old car. You got good spec in it. You know, they were fine. Really comfy. The older ones were really fast, and I just mentioned in the 90s you could make them go really fast. You really tried hard. It was good fun. Adrian Nelson. Good afternoon, Bob. Greetings from Melton Mowbray. Oh, Melton Mowbray is back. I want pork pies again. Straight away. As soon as I hear the name, I go, oh, pork pies. I had a fierce soft spot, which made me 16 stone at one point. I was. Can you imagine the svelte person, 16 stone? I'm not far off that now again, but I was at one point very round faced. You can actually see it in some of the older videos, some of the really early ones. I was very round and very overweight, and pork pies had a lot to do with that. That's for sure. I always had pork pies. I loved them. They were gorgeous. A bit of mustard on the side, heated up in the oven, made them crispy. Really nice. Don't microwave them, makes the pastry softy. But I do like a little Melton Mowbray. I actually had a pork pie one time on a press launch, and it was as big as the plate. Like, it was a massive yoke. And your man said you made it big. There were homemade ones from wherever the pork pies are. Is it gone or not? It says here it's in. It's working away. Audio capture 2. Okay. Give us a comment. See, is the audio actually gone there? No sound, no sound, no sound. Da-da, da-da. Is it working? No. Sound's gone. I'm going to test out. It's back. Is it back? Or no? Because I have sound. I have audio here in my audio. Because not as if it's nothing wrong with it. Internet and off. Sound. That's volume. Another volume. Andrew McAfee sent me another message. Audio back. Right. It's back. What happened there? Because I didn't do anything. That's weird. I mentioned YouTube and said they were crap, and bang, there we go. We're told down now. Say that again and I'll mute you. That's okay, because YouTube's office is in Dublin, so I can always drive up to Google head office and go tap tap tap. Could you turn the audio back on, thanks? So it's all working again. Yes, coming and going. Sounds like a cable loose. I've lost audio, so it's coming and going. It's coming and going. That's very odd. Should have to check the back of the computer. No, it's all in there. Funny the audio is going in the videos there. Right, still back? Back or not? 3, 2, 1. When you sit back, it goes. When I sit back, what could I be running? I'm not running over a cable or anything. No. That's got to be something interfering it on the computer. Audio captures all turned on. Audio is seen in the input capture. No, it's got to be something in the audio systems. That's Blue Snowball. Let me just delete that one. Ba-ba-ba-boom. Talk about yourselves for a minute. Coming back now in a second. Okay, 1, 2. Buckle my shoe. Definitely getting audio on this end. I don't know. All good now. It's all back again, is it? Sound is in. That's very odd. There must be something wrong with the Wi-Fi. Or not on Wi-Fi. I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm on internet. There must be something wrong. Vodafone, you're hurting my brain. What are you doing? Just quit that. Not quit anything else that is using anything at the moment. Get rid of that one as well. Audio is on here. Okay, now we're back. Alright, so we're back. We're back. We've had some technical office problems, but we're back. Well, we're back so far. Right, so we'll keep it up live and see what's the best way to get this done. Thank you very much for being patient, everybody. Everybody seems to be working okay. Weird. My bit rate is good. Drop frames are good. CPU is at 25%. 3.2% now, so not under pressure. So we'll battle through. We'll battle through to the end of this. It'll be grand. Where was I anyway? But what's the best brand? Oh yeah, best brand. BMW, Audi. There's no best brand. Like I favour driving BMWs. Like mid-range normal cars, BMWs rear-wheel drive is just a nice car to drive. It's a lovely car to go around. But I also like driving Audi Quattros. They're really good. Any of the Quattro ones really do a good job of being what they are. And then, yeah, it must have been something. On the. I don't know what happened there with the picture and all that sort of stuff. Weird. We had a bit of a problem. But Mercedes make really. I love a Mercedes E-Class. E-Class Estate, gorgeous car. Just ponder around the road. It's lovely, you know. So there's lots of reasons to like them. Now, I haven't driven a new Mercedes AMG real one in a long time because Mercedes Ireland don't really bring them here. They certainly don't put them on the press fleet, that's for certain. I was due to go down to Portimao racetrack and burn the tyres off a lot of Mercedes AMGs, but my wife had an appendicitis, which I will never forgive her for. I don't mean that really, obviously, but anyway, I just was so disappointed I couldn't go. She literally on the weekend, I was supposed to go on a Sunday, and she had appendicitis on the Saturday, so absolutely screwed up. Jim Crossy, Isuzu MU 1996. Isuzu MU? What the hell's an Isuzu MU? I'm going to have to look that one up, boys. Hold on now. MU. I think I probably know what this is now. Hold on, actually, I might do. Oh, I do. That's an Opel Frontera. That's a Frontera. It's shite. Sorry. It's a bag of bolts. If it's an Opel Frontera version of it, it's a bag of bolts. Run away. Don't touch it. They give fierce trouble. Four-wheel drive, engines, steering racks, suspension, bushings, arms, everything, because they were absolutely driven into destruction. They were the first kind of cool car that people bought for the kids driving to school back. That's what happened to them. It was never meant to be. So Isuzu nearly screwed themselves up doing that, actually, because they're very unreliable engines. Corsa are ditching the Seat logo on the incoming 2021 models. Who's Corsa? Am I gone mad here? Cupra was the other brand. What's a Corsa? That's an Opel, no? Rob Doyle, afternoon Bob, hope you're doing well today. Watching you whilst fitting a window in my garage. Thanks for keeping me going. No problem at all. Hopefully I have actually kept you going and I'm not completely deaf now and you're not all silently sitting there going, I still can't hear him. Yeah, hopefully it all works out for you. You're fitting a window in your garage. I like that. Have you got good cars in that garage? Gary Mills, good afternoon Bob. Finally it's confirmed this week, cartel going on with insurance doesn't seem to be a problem in other parts of Europe. What's the answer? Open the book of quantum. Okay, so the problem is, in this country, if you want to sell insurance in this country, even if you're an EU supplier, you must open an office in this country, right? And even if you open an office in this country, you can't get at what's called a book of quantum. So a book of quantum is quite straightforward. It basically lists out everybody in the country who's at risk. It lists out every human being and all the insurance they've had before, and their nut lens bonus, and who they are, what they are, who to do, where to go, all that stuff that insurance companies know about them. If you open an insurance company right now and you don't sign up with the Insurance Federation of Ireland, you can't get access to that book, which is a closed book, which means you've no idea what the risk is that you're giving out over the phone. Someone gives you all the details. They could have accidents, claims and convictions up the wazoo. They go, nah, I don't have any accidents, and that you have to take their word because you've no access to the thing. So if you open it up, and the secondary part of that, how to get insurance cheaper here, how to make insurance companies lower the premiums, is we have to take the thorny step of talking to solicitors. Because I know, and I have this from on Gardaí you call it, not officially, unofficially, but I'm talking to guards quite regularly these days because a lot of them follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and things. And when I talk to them, I get the same answer the whole time. So here's what happens. 4 people from the same family, even 5 from the same family, jump in a banjaxed Opel Astra, drive up to town. They slam on the brakes, they get rear-ended by some poor unfortunate, and they have to be cut out of the car, right? So like, it's not like a normal little back injury or something. No, they have to be cut out of the car. It's become such a thing that the whiplash has become known, the whiplash for the Canaries whiplash, right? So essentially, you get rear-ended, and the next thing you do is hold onto your back and neck for the next half hour till the ambulance gets there, and then you're too sore to get out of the back of the car, so you have to call the fire brigade to cut the roof off the car to get you out of the car, right? And then within a few months' time, you're going to court and you're suing the insurance company. The insurance company goes, right, it's going to cost us £1 million to defend against 5 whiplash incidents where the car's been roofed, or we could just pay them all 16 to 20 grand a piece. Bang, paid, end of story. It's too expensive to go to court against them because the solicitors will absolutely rip you asunder while they're in there, okay? So that was the biggest problem. That is the massive issue that's right there right now, is the payouts are huge. There's no caps on the payouts. Nothing. There is in every other EU country, there's a cap on a payout. You get whiplash, you get 3 grand. Good luck to you. Over here, 16, 17, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, right? You fall down in Lidl or Aldi and you twist your ankle and it's worth 50 grand to you. Like, come on. We can't get cheap insurance if we continue to allow that to happen. They're not fraud. It's not fraud. Everybody keeps talking about fraud. It isn't fraud. It's just the way the system works. Okay? That's just the way things happen, and that's normal over here. So unfortunately, if you want cheaper insurance, we're going to have to put a stop to that sort of crap. Ashton D says, hi Bob, do you think the change from diesel to petrol for the Audi SQ7 and SQ8 is a good idea? Not really, no. Not really. I don't know. Look, we don't need, I certainly do not need a V8 monster car the size of an Audi Q7, Q8 that can do 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. I just don't need it. I think that should be left for the S range or the RS range in the cars. Cars are good at that. Creating a huge big... I don't even need an electric e-tron. Even that's not really efficient. You know, why? Nobody needs that. That's just mad. Why wouldn't you make an Audi A1 electric? It'd make more sense. You know? So it's the same principle for these things. So changing over from petrol to diesel, diesel to petrol, that's not really helpful in the grand scheme of things. I'd rather see a group of people actually put something brains into it and go, well, we don't need a car that big to go that fast. It really is kind of a Russian market thing, where those kind of Eastern European markets, that those big vehicles in the sort of V8 sense go down well. M. Jones, in the US, Canada, Toyota Yaris is produced and developed by Mazda. In the EU, is it still a real Toyota? It is a real Toyota here, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, I don't think Mazda have anything to do with it. Mark O'Reilly says hello. Sean McCabe, afternoon Sean. Alex Theodore, first insurance €2,200 for a 1.2. Now 3 years on to bonus, 600 for a busman. See that now? It goes down after time for sure. Insurance companies want your business. They don't want to turn you away, so you just gotta kind of ring around to get the business you want. William Byrne, hi Bob, he says, okay, that's good. Paul O'Connor, don't forget to like, comment and share. See, Paul, this is a guy who pays for questions like that because he's one of the channel members. You can become a channel member as well, by the way. You sign up down below. You can do PayPal, you can do Patreon, you can do super chats here as well. Any way that you can support this channel is always good, because you know I actually do all this for free. I take the ads off the Sunday service after the Sunday service ends, because YouTube just litter ads along the whole thing, and I reduce it down to one ad, and 2 ads are the pre-roll, post-roll, and an ad in the middle. And that's it. So I reduce the ads down so people don't get interfered too much by ads when they're trying to listen to the bleeding thing later on. So if you can help the channel, it's really good, because I don't monetize really on these videos. What do you think of the impending US ban on TikTok? Trump is president. It's not going to be banned. It was done today. I was the chief operating managing director, whatever you call her, of TikTok, came out and said they've done a deal in the US that will see it won't be banned anywhere. So it's going to continue on as normal, as if that never happened. So TikTok won't be banned. My audience on TikTok is predominantly Irish, and then there's a bit from the UK and some more from the Philippines. And that's kind of predominantly the massive part of the audience. I don't really do US TikToks. The dancing things go down well in the US. People doing shuffles and dances and that sort of stuff, that goes down well over there, and that's not what I was about. And plus, it's very pointed towards the Irish market, so even the UK guys ask some questions about insurance and stuff in the UK, and I have to look up some of that because their rules are totally different from ours. Lukey Boy says, how are you, lad? See, some people don't think it's live, but it is. It is. I'm actually asking a question from 206 because of our delay for our technical issues. We shall resume shortly. That thing happened. But if you can just ask one question, it's deadly, because it makes it much easier to answer the questions when it's just one. If you flood the thing, Andy McAfee or Eric Watch will come in and hit you with a hammer between the 2 eyes, and that'll be the India, and you'll be banned. Fear not, Joe. There are defenders, the defenders of the peace. Mr. Call says, I managed to insure a 418D for $3,000 on my first car, dropped it to $1,100 after 2 years. Yeah, my first insurance was a bloody long time ago, but my first insurance was over £2,000, and I know it was just like insane. Zaltan has been very generous. Thank you very much by PayPal. You're very kind. Thank you. £2,000 at least pounds, that was, so that'd be close to €3,000. And then the second year, when it was half that, like went down by half, and then the third year it went down again. So and now, like, for years I was a housewife, because that gets the cheapest insurance. I tell them whatever they wanted to know. Now I'm normal, of course, just self-employed now. Kenneth McGuire, hi Bob, I'm looking to buy a first car of my own. Been sharing a VW Polo 1 litre for the last 2 years. I want to get something more powerful. We think of a 1.6 Passat or a Golf. That would you think? He's 21. Yeah, the minute you go outside the kind of 1 to 1.4 litre range, your age stands against you, you know, so they don't like you doing that. But you have been sharing a car for years, so I'm assuming you're a fully licensed driver, even at 21. I'm assuming you're fully licensed, so you shouldn't have too much problem, but expect the insurance to go up a bit if you go up in size. If I was you, I would probably go for a Golf. They're a bit cooler, a little bit classier. I'd stick around at 1.6 litre level, but they're a little bit classier. Passat's cool in its own kind of unique way, but not in a stock form. In stock, a Passat is pretty boring looking. You'd have to do something to it. Golf would be nicer to be driving around in there, Kenneth. Richard Cullen, good afternoon, Bob. Fantastic show, thank you. Keep up the good work. PC, when is the VW electric NUS, or the what? The bus, is it? No. What is that VW electric thing you're talking about there? Richard Cullen? I don't know. There's loads of electric stuff coming out of the Volkswagen Group. This is the scary bit, actually, in fairness, because there's just so much of it coming. If you just look at Volkswagen, they've got like 5 models on the way. If you take in ID Buzz and all those other ones are out there that they've got hanging about. And the Cross one as well is another one. ID4 is coming too. Then if you bring in Skoda, they have the Enyaq, and they've got 2 or 3 other planned, including an Octavia and a Superb that are PHEVs. Seat have the Elborn. And Audi have already released the e-tron and have an e-tron range on the way as well, a range of stuff. So there's a lot of electric stuff coming. It's a scary time because, quite honestly, the dealers out there are selling petrol and diesel cars. When you come looking for a car, that's what they're going to sell you. And the electric cars are very much secondary because they're very hard to get hold of. It's very hard to get them in the door. And it's very hard to get people in. There's a fly in a room all of a sudden. How the hell did a fly get in here? Annie McPhee is answering Mr. Call. Afternoon, Mark Turner Smith is here. Come on, Mark Turner Smith, good to have you aboard. Annie McPhee, I did test automatics. I tried them all day at work, and only glimmer of automotive hope is the commute home in a manual. I like a manual every once in a while, but it depends on the car, you see. I don't mind the bigger cars. Some of the Skoda manuals are fine. Some of the Volkswagen Golf or something is fine. But some days I go up on a Monday, it's just I get into the car and I go, will you just go just don't drive home. And I'm picking up a Yaris tomorrow. I hope that's manual. See, I like small manuals as well, because the thing is a bit of fun. VW bus. Oh yeah, sorry, electric bus from Volkswagen. Yeah, there's a few of them on the way. They've got a few things going on. Now I know there is some electric buses in Ireland, proper size buses, not big buses, but mid-sized buses, and you can actually get electric full-size buses, but I'm not too sure how they'd work here too well. I think public transport is probably the first direction to go with electric anyway. I think the race to have everybody in Ireland driving electric cars is already dead in the water, because nobody has any money and there's a lot less work around than there was 6 months ago. So, it's a bit of a problem. So I think the electric buses and trucks and all that sort of stuff, that's where we need to be pointing at. But ID Cross and all those kind of smaller, cooler camper van-y things, they'll be probably the end of next year, I'd say, before you even see any of that stuff. Eric Hirsch says, no love autos, no going back from after switching for a few years ago. That's what happens. But once you get used to autos, just don't bother with no interest with the other ones. It just kind of goes away. Auto suits some cars. Yeah, some cars are built that way. The Casio G-Shock is an absolute legend. That's this baby here. This thing, I bought this on an Aer Lingus flight one time. It was on offer in one of the magazines, one of the magazine things. And normally that G-Shock, I've seen it in the shop for like $100, and I get into the flight and I'm leafing through the usual flight thing. I haven't done it so long, I forget what it is. Leafing through it, and I spot the G-Shock, and it was €54. So I asked the stewardess to come down, and she came down with the watch, and I looked at them and I'll take that. And I absolutely pissed off someone else who was a G-Shock enthusiast. Oh, I want one of them. It was the last one on the plane, so I got it. But yeah, legend of a watch. I've had G-Shocks since I was a teenager. I've had G-Shocks. They get broke, they get run over. I had one run over at a Land Rover one time. It got fired out through a window from a third floor apartment. Not this one, but just I've had them. They've all gotten damaged at some point, and I still keep them and love them and mind them all the time. G-Shocks are cool. But I also use a Garmin 235 watch for running. So I don't use the G-Shock for running. But when I haven't got my running watch with me, if I was overseas or something, no running watch, I'll use Runkeeper on my phone. It's very good. It's now Adidas, I think, own Runkeeper, or ASICS. Someone owns Runkeeper. It's not just Runkeeper anymore. If you're looking to start running at any point, just don't bother with the watches or the Apple watches or anything else. Stick Runkeeper on your phone, turn it on, forget about it. Great little app, tells you everything you need to go, maps all your runs, does the whole lot, and it's free. It's very good. Peter ONG says, great car reviews and advice for getting cheaper insurance. Can't wait to implement your tips to my new insurance next May. Good man. Welcome to the motoring fraternity. Congratulations. Get on the road and start driving. Dynamic Friend. We get a lot of 18-year-olds in the local dealership I work for wanting 6 to 10k cars on finance for the first cars, which to me seems a bit mad and expensive. They get bored quickly and back in wanting a VXR. Unfortunately, to try and get on the road as cheap as they can, a lot of the questions that come in on TikTok as well is how much do I need to get going? And realistically, in Ireland, you need €5,000. You need $3,000 for the car, and then you need $2,000 for the insurance. This is the problem straight off. So if you want a kind of cool car, what are you going to get for $3,000? There's a few cars around for $3,000, but it really isn't that much. The selection is very narrow and tight at $3,000 mark for a decent joke, What happened buying a cheap £1,500 for your first car? That's me as well. Like, my first joke was £100. That's a Nissan Cherry, just something to get on the road. But unfortunately, because cars gotten very expensive, safety is paramount. NCTs and MOTs in the UK, and you have to pass all these things. So cars are gone up in price and just keep going up in price all the time. Jason Nagpal says, what do you think of the Audi A7 2023 litre 50 TDI? Good car, yeah. A7's gorgeous. I had the RS7 recently. That's even better, but a little bit different in price. But the A7's a gorgeous car. Audi make really good luxury fast cars. They've done that for years. Those Autobahn mile munching yokes like the A7, they do them very well. I couldn't tell you about longevity, but the 3-litre diesel's been around for years, so it shouldn't be a problem. And the A7's been around for a good time. I actually tested, I think, the first A7 on my channel. Eric Horse says, you're putting some serious effort in with that Q&A on TikTok. Do you get any break from cars these days? No, none whatsoever. Absolutely none. Other than my family. Amongst the kids and wife and stuff, we don't really talk about cars. Or I watch a TV program or a kids cartoon show, or we watched Jungle Book yesterday to get a break from cars because there's no cars in that movie. Because I'm terrible. Of course, I watch a TV show and immediately I see like Emmerdale Farm and they're driving up in like a Hyundai something or other, and you go, what a shit car to have on this show. You know, it's funny how your brain kind of keeps the... But you see, I love the work, so I've no problem with this. I don't really have a problem because I like what I do, and what I do is cars in that way. So I because I like that, all I want to do is actually give that sort of advice out. It doesn't really matter what the platform is, as long as it's a bit of fun. And it's just finding a new platform, which is the thing. Everybody laughs at TikTok going, it's for kids, full of dancing kids. It's not, you know. There is a huge motoring fraternity on TikTok as well who love it. And are really, really enthusiastic about things like cars. So they're where the audience is. You go where the audience is, you put your name out there as much as you possibly can, because otherwise you're just talking to people who don't care about you. And YouTube is the other place. Twitter's gone to being news. Oh, I can't quite explain what happened to Twitter. It just seemed to kind of fizzle out, and now it's just a list of what Neffed said today and how many cases there are, and you kind of go, a bit boring, this place, isn't it? And Facebook is terrible. It always has been. Sunday service community is great, but the rest of Facebook is like genital warts. Adrian Nelson, things I know about by rote. Bob's advice on car insurance renewal. There you go. You see, that's what you got to do. Edward, what do you think of getting a 162 Peugeot 2008 with 210,000 kilometers and want to upgrade from 06 Vectra? You'll be an upgrade for you for sure, but that's a lot of kilometers. What the hell was that car doing? That's a lot of kilometers, 210,000. Now, if it was minded and you got a good service history, okay, I'm okay. But that's a 162. That's late 2016. 2008 was never meant for big mileage. It was meant as a little city runabout. You know, that's what it's for. So I would look very, very carefully at the history of that car to find out how in the name of God it came to that sort of mileage. And I would also look at why that particular car is the one you're after, right? In that range, you're going to find other cars in there that aren't French, you know, maybe German ones. If you just go back a year, like 2015, you probably get for the same money, maybe a Volkswagen Golf or something. Why do you want that sort of thing? But if you're into it and you like it, then it doesn't really matter. Garrett Talbot has spent money to ask a question on, what is that? PayPal. Good man, thank you. Hey Bob, do you think there should be aluminium tire quality rating rule, i.e. wet rating, etc.? Tires are actually, yeah, for sure. The problem is we have a unique set of needs in Ireland for a tire. Today, it could be 20 degrees out there with the sun splitting the trees. Tomorrow, we could have torrential rain. And we're not going to switch our car over or our tires over overnight, right? So the problem is we don't have a rating that suits all that sort of stuff. We end up with a sort of, like, I grew up with nothing but summer tires. Everybody drove on summer tires, even in winter. So, and in winter here, we don't really get a big extreme. It just, the temperature drops below 7 degrees. And then kind of hovers there in that sort of 2 to 5 degree mark. We get a bit of frost every morning or whatever. So summer tires actually work weirdly in this country, but winter tires don't really work, because winter tires only really activate from 7 degrees downwards. So it has to be a fairly constant, like 2 or 1 degree for winter tires to operate. So we end up in these kind of nothing tires, these kind of in-betweeny tires, and only the bigger companies out there are doing a decent range of tires. But for minimum quality rating, all they want you to do is buy tires, right? So tire companies make money when you buy tires. That's it. They don't make money when you buy secondhand tires or used tires or any of that. You know, none of that stuff comes into it. So quality rating rule would actually negate cheap tires. So you'd end up with these nothing but Continentals and big brand tires on the shelf, and all of the kind of Nine Kangs, I can't think of real names, but that's one tire company. All those kind of ones wouldn't match up that sort of stuff, so you just kind of distort your market. So once it's black and round and has some sort of thread, it'll stop you better than something that has no thread. Andy McAfee, have to feel sorry for the younger generation these days. They can't move out of their parents until 40 odd, and they can only afford one brand new car and finance and have it the latest 1500 phone in their pocket. I know. I was actually talking this morning, and you know, if you want a little bit of fun as well for a podcast, Tommy Tiernan and Hector have got together with another woman, her name escapes me now, and they're making a podcast, and it's free on Apple iTunes thingamajig, and it'll make you laugh. If you've even got a remote interest in comedy or even a bit of fun, it is fun, right? But they were talking about how simple life was in the 70s and 80s, and it got me reminiscent, I suppose, of the 80s, is that this didn't exist. The phone wasn't here. What I'm talking on didn't exist. People ask me for pictures of my cars and stuff when I was a younger lad. Who had a camera? There was no cameras around. I don't even remember taking a picture of any of my cars, to be honest with you, over the years. And the pictures that did exist have disappeared because my mother died, and of course that's where all the pictures were stored in her house. So things were fairly simple, and we didn't really strive to have the house and the car and the big house. You just got on with life. It was just there in front of you. So I do feel sorry for young people now, because they're under a lot of pressure to get leave cert results and go to college and do all the stuff and be the good citizen and pay tax and learn how to use computers and, you know, work in Google and all these places, when I'm more into the idea of young people starting their own business and doing that, you know. But yeah, it's a difficult place for young people to be today. So I do have great sympathy, because they've nothing to do and we totally ignore them most of the time. Daniel H, thoughts on Civic 2010 2.2 litre CDTI? I've had one a few months. Well, yeah, they're alright. Bit thirsty, CDTI, common rail diesel, them ones with a turbo strapped onto the back of it. Pretty good engine, reliable, but just a bit thirsty. It is very sensitive to water pumps and things. They can leak, so when you're changing your time belt, change your water pump over completely. And I can't think of anything else that really goes wrong with them yokes, because they're good, like. It's a big engine. Civic has a backdoor issue, leaks. The perisher, it perishes around the seal on the outside, so you do get a bit of water in the boot, but that's about it. Other than that, they're a solid car. Adrian says, good afternoon, Bob. Do Ford still have the slickest manual gearboxes? My old Escort had a brilliant manual box. Only had BMW manual and Audi manual cars recently. Now drive a DSG, which is great. DSG is very good. Not really. All the gearboxes, everything has gotten lighter, so they've gotten rid of really cool gearboxes in favour of how much the gearbox costs. That's essentially what they're always at. They're always trying to get rid of, like the XF gearbox was pretty good for BMW as a manual gearbox. It was actually alright. The throw was a bit long, but it was alright after that. Whereas the Ford gearbox is actually really nice in the smaller versions. In a Focus and above, the gearbox gets a bit weird. It's like the throw becomes very long. The gate is kind of weird when it's running and all. So it's a kind of a strange place to be. I think they want to get rid of manuals. I think manuals are kind of slowly going to disappear over time, as they can control a lot more about the car if it's an automatic, especially the fuel economy. Ash one says, hi, how are you? I'm fine, thanks very much. Subscribe, thanks, and share. Anyway, Jack O'Dwyer, what do you think of the new Defender? I have a full video out of the new Defender on my channel. I shall revert to myself, I think. I don't know. It's a good car. It's a big yoke. It's not a Defender. It's Disco 5 or something is what it should have been called. It's a cool looking thing though. I mean, it's a monstrous car. It's definitely not a Defender. I tell you what, another reason it's not a Defender is because I actually fit in the new Defender and I don't fit in any other Defender. You sit like this with your elbow like that. On a cold day, you tuck your elbow into you sweat under your armpit because your elbow is constantly tucked in because you can't get it out through the window. Or you open the window, put your elbow out and freeze to death. And that's your only two hopes with Defender. But the modern Defender, the newest one, is very good. I think if you were a business, like a builders or something cool, antiques or something, I think the modern Defender van would do you very well. It would look good, represent your business well, be broken possibly, and that's quite normal. McBidge1, hi Bob, do you think Volvo will sell Polestar 2 in Ireland? Cheers. No, I don't think so. I would very much doubt it. I tell you, Polestar was only meant to be a sort of how would you say, a niche brand, a niche version. They weren't meant to take away from Volvo's sales, right? So they just kind of ripped the Volvo, went, yeah, this is cool, and made it Polestar. Now, the problem is that Polestar, it costs a lot of money to make cars like that. It costs a lot of money for Tesla to make cars like that. And ramping production up to be able to cope with the amount of cars that are required requires everything to be in the right order. So I'm not sure. I think they'll bring one. They'll probably bring us to have a little test of or whatever. They'll do something to raise their image, their brand here. But I'm just not sure they're going to supply that many, because the UK will absorb all the right-hand drive ones. We always get the cast-offs to the UK, you know. So if the UK sell 1,000, it might be 1 or 2 out of that 1,000 we will destined for here. Plus, who buys it? Who wants one? Who's going to buy at that level of the market right now without buying a Tesla? It's a tough place to be. Tesla proved they can do it, you know. Polestar have not, although they're much prettier cars. John Cross, Bob, I'm getting insurance in a month when it turns 17. Will Leo Varadkar change insurance costs by then? Leo Varadkar won't do a goddamn thing. He's been in power with Fine Gael for 10 years, 9 years. I was corrected yesterday. 9 years. They've been hovering about there in power, the whole country under their thumb, no bother, and it did nothing about insurance during that whole time. The only reason Leo Varadkar is talking about insurance right now is because of the report that's come out, and also because Sinn Féin are talking about insurance and getting all that sort, and they're doing their little YouTube videos, so Leo Varadkar is doing his little YouTube videos, and that's what's really going on. I don't think anyone will take insurance on in that respect. I don't think they'll ever come under scrutiny, because it's not just insurance you have to deal with, it's solicitors you have to deal with, it's the claims, it's the court systems, it's how much it costs to take a claim against an insurance company. All them things will have to be dealt with as well. It's not just always insurance companies' fault. Insurance companies do what they can do to make money and make business within the trading standards of Ireland. And although they try to rip you off, and they have been a cartel in the past, and all this is proven, I just still can't see much of a reform happening from them, because it's backed up by so many other things. I'd love to. Trust me. I'd love to see insurance go down, and I'd be standing right there on the picket line with anybody who thinks it's going up. Damien Caulfield, hi Bob, sold my Disco 4, come on, picked up a very nice HSE 3 Disco 5, amazing. Yeah, Discos are great cars, absolutely brilliant cars. If they go wrong, they're phenomenally expensive. But for the most part, as cars, like if I won the Euro Millions, which I haven't, but if I did, my first job would be to go down to the Land Rover Range Rover dealership and buy a Range Rover Vogue. Or just buy one, top. Just give me all of the options. Actually, just give me the bloody V8 one and be done with it. That's me, because it is an everything car. If there's a nuclear bomb dropped on the earth, that thing will just drive over the top of the nuclear bomb, no bother. They're an amazing vehicle, the way to build them and put them together, but they can be a nightmare on the other end of that as well, if something goes really wrong with them. S-Car says, RE, battery degradation. I have a 2012 Mitsubishi iMEV and still get 50 miles real world range. Yeah, you see, depends on how they've been treated, how they've been charged, how enthusiastic you are with them. On the other end of that scale as well, S-Car, I have had a man who emailed me from a Nissan Leaf, said he bought it, it had 120 kilometers range on the dashboard, he now has 50 left. 50 kilometers, like, that's nothing. That's more than half of his kilometers have galloped away, and he can't get them back without doing, so there's something wrong with it. So, you know, for every single story of a good thing, there's a story of a bad thing, and everything in between those two things as well can also happen. Think about buying a Seat Leon Estate. What's the best engine version for 35,000 miles a year and maintenance cost? Diesel, just get an ordinary diesel one. It'll do your 35,000 kilometers a year easily if you want Leon Estate. Nothing to compete with that in electric cars, really. I mean, the size of the car being a Leon, and depends on how you're driving it, obviously, but just buy the standard diesel engine yoke on the kind of narrowest tires you can find. Don't go wild on the alloy wheels if you want to make the best fuel economy. Paul O'Connor's in County Clare. Come on, Paul. Peter ONG, what do you think of the Renault Clio 1.5 DCI 2017? I know it's already. Oh no, 1.5 DCI. Yeah, they're fine. 1.5. All the DCIs are grand. The diesel common rail injection. They're a grand car. They're noisy. So those engines are kind of noisy. So when you're accelerating, they sound like a bag of hammers being shook. But actually, they're okay. The Clio is a fine little car, great little car to be driving, lovely thing to start off with, and a nice joke even for a small family. You know, you got a back seat in it, and the boot's okay as well. John Cross, Bob, I'm getting insurance in a month. I did that one. Laguna, count how many you still see in the roads. I see more Teslas. I know the Laguna didn't survive well, did it? There's one around Portlaoise. Do you remember the Laguna Coupe? Was it called a Coupe? Yeah, that one with the two doors. I had an awful ugly front, but had the best looking rear end that was ever on a car. There's actually one of them around Portlaoise as well. One man and a Sprinter van living the van life. Love that. That's a great username. I've just entered the point where everyone's telling me that the sound has gone off. Mark Turner Smith said, only like the late 90s Laguna used in BTCC, it's hard to say that. It was a good competitive car then to what was being sold. Had a 2-litre 16-valve RT1 once, a higher rapid handling thing. Yeah, the old 2-litre yokes. If you put the seat in the right place, the old 2-litre yokes felt like a spaceship. You fly back. They were really good fun. Paul Macmillan, I really enjoy your reviews of EVs, Skoda, Nissan, Hyundai and now VW are all joining the party with capable EVs. Hope competition will drive down the prices and pollution. It won't. It might drive down pollution, for sure. Tailpipe emissions. I hate to say drive down pollution because electric cars pollute just nearly as much as petrol and diesel cars, even during their manufacturing. Not as much, but nearly as much. But certainly air quality in your local area will probably improve. Like I was out on a run this morning, you can smell the diesel and petrol cars driving by you a lot. So I'd be very much in favour of bringing the emissions down for sure. But the rest is there's a lot of stuff out there where people tell you that, you know, electric cars are all very clean and nice. They're not really. You still have to make all the plastics, you still have to make all the interiors, you still have to use all the glues, you still have to create all the metals, all that stuff to create new things. It's like constantly upgrading your phone. You know, there's this constant cycle of upgrades that we're going through right now because people have not spend their money on. Everything's invented. Everything. There's nothing left to invent, by the way. There really isn't. There's only adaptations of the thing that's already invented. It is. We're 1 hour in. My God, we're 1 hour in. That's insane. The time is absolutely booting by. What's your best way to get the cheapest insurance for first car? We did that one. Ronan of Arc, when you said talk amongst yourselves, it was working then. You're good to go. Talk amongst yourselves. That's gas. Talk amongst yourselves. So back him in, my sound is broke. Good reaction though. I'll also be doing a radio show in the near future. I'm doing a bank holiday thing. We're trying to organise something really cool on Midlands 103. So I'm going to be doing a little bank holiday vibe on Midlands 103. So that'll be interesting. I'll tell you more about it when I get closer to the time. Or follow me on TikTok. You'll see it live. No, you won't. We'll just see some of it. If Windows 10 turn off updates, all back. No way. Never thought of that. Could be doing some sort of bleeding update yoke in the background, couldn't it? I have a sneaking suspicion it was something like Steam or one of those Epic Games or something like that doing some kind of update. Something happened that seemed to drive it a little bit mad, alright? Anyway, it's alright. We're back and we're running nicely. We're fine. Daniel H. Thoughts on the Toyota Civic 2010 2-litre CD 2.2 CDTI mileage 74,000. Just bought one, full service. It's a good car. Civic. Why are these looking at when people just ask them twice as much? Bob, what's your experience on road rage in Ireland? Road rage I've experienced in a number of places, not directly, but I've seen it. I've seen rage, and I've also seen people get outraged in cars, and I felt it myself. When somebody does something stupid or idiotic, and you're looking at them and you're going, what are you doing? Like, and this rage comes out in people. But I've actually witnessed it up close when one car rear-ended another. An obvious kind of just one of those things is not, nobody set out to rear end anybody, and just became one of those things, and it became very hot and heavy very quickly as the man who was rear ended felt aggrieved and jumped out of his car and started roaring at the other person in the street, who was a woman sitting in a car who was terrified of what just happened, obviously her first crash. But the worst part was another man jumps out across the road and he comes over to defend the woman in the car, and then the boyfriend gets out of the back seat, and it all just kind of erupted into a sudden war of words and pushing and shoving and in your face and all that sort of stuff. When in actual fact, really the cars all did their job. Everybody was completely healthy and safe and all was well in the world. It's just going to be a bit of an annoying form-filling day, you know. That's the way to think of road rage, really. But it is a very scary experience. I know a friend of mine, his daughter had a road rage experience that she got very nervous even driving at night time. Very nervous. Took her time to coax her back in. She got a very big fright as this guy felt that she was cutting him off at a junction. She didn't hit him, and then he started falling down the road, flashing lights and beeping horns at her and all kinds of things. So it became a crazy crazy moment for her. New patron. Sorry, it didn't pop up on my screen there. Sorry about that. Ashton D. Thank you very much to become a new patron on Patreon. Thank you very much. You're very good. I'm very delighted for you to be there. Patreon. I will try and get more behind the scenes stuff for Patreon and the subscribers here on YouTube. I do put up the videos. The videos that you see on my channel go out 24 hours early, at least, give or take, 24 hours early on Patreon and on channel memberships. So you get to see them a little bit early, is the one thing, and you get to see some behind the scenes photographs, and I ask you questions, and you can DM me and stuff about stuff you don't like in the video. Maybe you see something in the video, maybe it's me scratching my nose or something you don't like, and you can say, oh well, you're at that point you're scratching your nose there, you know that? I don't pick my nose, of course I don't. Bad to you. Austin, why can't Irish people get car insurance from European insurance companies, even though we're all in a single market? We're not in a single market when it comes to insurance, or cars for that matter. We are not. The Insurance Federation of Ireland made sure, well, not just them, but the insurance companies make sure that if you want to sell insurance in this country, you have to have an office here. So you can't just, the beauty behind the EU, the idea behind it was that I could get myself a German carpenter and buy a fridge in France and buy a car in Spain, and I could bring it all back here, and there'd be no excise duty. Excise duty is what happens when you import something into a country. Well, actually, we still have excise duty on fuel. We still have excise duty on insurance. No, we still have all the things didn't quite work out the way they're supposed to work out, and it's not killing the dream, but it is also a pain in the hole. Mark Walsh got an insurance quote online with AXA for 1705, rang them and asked them for a better price and got 1575. Happy days. See, that's all I have. That's me as well. I got my insurance renewal recently, which is why it's in my head so much. And the quote came in and it was higher, and we rang them and they said, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, of course, yeah, we'll drop it down for you for the same price as last year. You go, why did you just do that in the first place? So it came down to being the same price it was last year, which is really good for me anyway. Mr. Half Moon, hi Bob, just bought an 11-year-old hatchback. Any ideas how to get rid of the old car smell? Old car smell is coming from bacteria build up in your carpets. I'm telling you now, this happens every single time. You've a couple of options depending on what kind of car it is. Now, if this was years ago, as an owl in Nissan Micro or something, I tell you to take the seats out and hose them down. And I know that sounds mad, but that's what you do. That's old Valet style, right? You literally unbolt the seats from the ground, take them out. But don't do that now, because a lot of seats actually have electronic connections to them for seatbelt things that go bing, bing, bing and all that stuff. You have to disconnect wires and things. It's not quite straightforward anymore. But what you can do is a wet and dry vacuum cleaner, which are very cheap in places like Aldi or Tesco's or Dunn's or Lidl or somewhere. You pick up a wet and dry vacuum. You can also go to your local manufacturers and he will give you a carpet spray, which is a foam. So you foam up the entire inside. It's a sort of a wet product. So you won't be able to drive the car the same day. You need to leave the doors and windows open for the rest of the afternoon. You foam it up and you hoover it off. And that will start to change the smell. But the smell generally is coming from the carpets and the seats. It's just age. It's a bacteria buildup from people sweating on the seats, sitting on the seats, and it just sits there and gets old and stale, and the air's not moving inside, and just kind of air it out then for a couple of days after that. But the old way would have been, of course, just to unbolt the seat, take it out on the ground, power hose the seat, and then just leave it standing there in the yard. Anyone who's ever worked at a garage would have seen seats galore on used cars coming in all over the place. Just made them look tidy. John Cross, I have an Isuzu MU as a farm Jeep, and it's the most reliable vehicle. That's what they were designed to do. The problem was the other ones that weren't doing that were driving up and down the M50, what am I saying? Driving up and down the Long Mile Road, dropping kids to school. That's not what they were meant to do. Agricultural vehicles will work well as agricultural vehicles, but people, first time they ever turned into kind of SUVs, and even Opel marketed that car as a sort of Range Rover, Land Rover type car, but it wasn't. But they're okay. Adrian says the worst manual gearbox I used was an Austin Mach-E 1500, like stirring a pudding and then guess the gear. Yeah. A lot of those old ones are like that. You can actually not tell whether you're in neutral or first. You know those kind of ones where you even in third, you put it into third, you go, that's neutral, and it's not actually in gear. So the older cars like those kind of Austin Mach-E, anything from Austin actually was terrible gearboxes. I don't know who fitted them. They were terrible. Some of them were just fitted really badly, and the whole gearbox would shift inside its cage. and like the bottom bolts and all that sort of stuff would be all loose, and they were terrible yokes. Any of those kind of Austin cars were weird, or old Minis, or Hillman Hunters were also another one that had problems like that. Morris Minors had a gearbox that you've no idea if you're in reverse, neutral, first, not a clue, and it was weird. Andy McPhee, in a few days we will need to start doing the quote trawl for the renewal of my 2 car policies. Will be upset if I have to pay more than £500 for the 2 fully comp, protected, no claims discount, and all the extras. £500 is about, I suppose, €550 to €600, give or take. Yeah, that's where you'd want to be, really, in this country, on this side as well, in euro. If you're paying more than €500 and you've got a full no claims discount, your car must be really expensive. But then it depends where you live as well. Like someone living in Dublin, say 12 or Dublin 18, might get a cheaper quote than someone living in Dublin 1. So there's an element of where you live as well. Dee-wee, howdy. Loving the TikTok questions answered. Thanks very much with all the shamrocks. I like it. Thanks, Dee-wee. Andy McVinoy's answered a question. People are being deleted. We'll never know what the question was. TikTok is a symptom of their dysfunctional society. Well, it's been dysfunctional a lot longer since TikTok. TikTok is relatively new. I would suggest that Facebook is the biggest symptom. Is a much more intrusive, terrible thing for the brain. TikTok is it's Vine. TikTok is Vine, essentially, made new. And Vine is one of the older social medias. There was very, very, very famous people that are still operating today in YouTube and in TikTok and everywhere else who were Viners. They were called Viners. The what do you call them? Idiots. The 2 brothers that are here on YouTube as well. So those guys are from Vine. So TikTok is not really a symptom. TikTok is a result of wanting something new, not being happy on Facebook, not being happy with TikTok or with Twitter, not being happy with the giants that are out there that are manipulating the entire world around you and wanting to find something else. And that's the result of that's where TikTok has come into it now. People just want to put their content out. They don't necessarily want to be paid for it. And that's pretty much it. New patron. Thank you very much, Meet S. Kerr. Thank you. I'm not getting the notifications. I updated my phone to iOS 14 this morning. It's operating fine, but I'm not getting some of the notifications which would have been normally popping up on my screen. Thank you very much to being a patron. The links are down below for the Patreon. You can also support the channel, and it's really good. It's Noah is also down there as well. Click on the link. You can have a half price for a whole 12 months for 60 quid. It's one of the best news outlets I've come across. And I'm really interested in good journalism out there. I really do look at journalism as a way of a career for people to build into, and they want to do it. And Noah is supporting this channel and my ability to be able to do journalism here as well, to be able to give you the car reviews you are looking for. But Noah support that for me as well. So I really want you to give us a help out with that one. If you can, just click the link and sign up for Noah for 60 quid. It's only 60 quid for an entire 12 months, which is half price. And that gets you access to all of their news outlets, of which they pull from Bloomberg and Washington Post and everything else. All the big names out there are using Noah as well today and supporting the platform. So hopefully you will too. It's getting good. It really has gotten brilliant over the last couple of weeks. I've listened to some brilliant articles, particularly when I'm running, but also when I'm swapping cars on a day. It works perfectly on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It works without them. I had a Mini recently, it didn't have either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and it worked fine. It works by Bluetooth and everything else. It's just a small app on your phone, and you can actually, but the best part is, what I find really good, and when I get back to traveling, this is going to be the best part, you can download the bloody stories. Why don't everyone do that? It's like a podcast. You click the little download and you save it for later, and you don't have to have an internet connection to listen to the story. It's deadly. And you can check that out in the links down below, or Patreon, or PayPal, or all the rest of them that are down there too. Anything you can give to support the channel is always very welcome. Daniel Daniel Effie has given some money by Super Chat. Hi Bob, have you tested out the new Corolla Sports Touring? If so, any opinion? I have. The review is on my channel. It's very good. Really nice car. It has got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto now. I would definitely pick the Estate one. I would do the two-tone colour as well, by the way. There's a couple of them around here in Portage because we have a Toyota dealer here in the town, and it looks deadly. Lovely car to drive. Very economical, as long as you're not going to hoon up and down motorways all day long. It's going to be economical for you. Diesel is still better at that sort of long distance journeys like that. Petrol's very good around town. It's an automatic. It's effortless to drive. It's just a typical Toyota in that respect. It's a nice car to be in. Stuart McHugh says, did you see the new Tucson? Best-selling car in Ireland for a few years. Best-selling. I love that. To be honest, it looks like an EV. It would be strange to see diesel engine in it. Great to see car design pushing it. Yeah, it's a nice-looking car. It does look good. Hyundai were the best registered car in Ireland for a long time. So Hyundai dealer. I'm always curious about that phrase. There's best-selling would assume that someone's actually bought the car and drove home in it, but in actual fact what happens is dealers pre-reg them all. So a dealer regs 100 cars, they're counted as sales because they have license plates, but the car might not even be in the country, so they have VIN numbers and they register them on that, and they might deregister them the month after. It's a weird system we have in this country, and it really does distort the market. But if you want to be the number one selling car in Ireland, you can buy it. You can literally buy it. It's possible to be there. Whereas in a lot of other countries they break them into registrations and actual sales, so one's driving off the forecourt. It's kind of weird. Did one. I'm seriously considering and wanting to get a second car, but insurance is the obstacle. Any advice would be welcome. So you're looking for a second car. The problem with the second car thing is you have to have another policy for it. That is the biggest issue that I find, that as a person I can't insure myself on multiple cars. I can only insure per policy on a car. Then I have to take out a whole other policy for a different car. That's my biggest issue. And often the second policy on the other car might be on a Mustang, like a V8 or something, so it's an entirely different policy. So you'd have to go into like classic car insurance to get that, which by the way, a car has to be over 20 years old and you have to be over 25. That's how you get classic car insurance. Nearly everyone does classic car insurance sooner or later. Anto Dunn vlogs. What's your vlogs like, Anto? What do you vlog about? Is it good? Bob, any insight into insurance premiums being loaded for nurses and doctors in Ireland as they're shift workers and at higher risk of causing an accident on the road? Yeah, don't tell them you're a nurse or a doctor. Tell them you're a housewife. That's what I was for at least 10 years. Yes, higher risk. People are at higher risk. There are certain categories of people who are... Journalists is another one that gets loaded up as well. Although I'm not a shift worker of any kind. I don't actually do that many miles. But the doctors, nurses, shift workers, just shift workers in general, do pay more excess on their cars because they drive very tired. They're a higher risk category. So it's risk and reward. So if you're higher risk, you're going to pay more insurance. That's just life the way it is, unfortunately. And that is the way shift workers are treated. All shift workers, not just doctors and nurses, all of them, the ones that work in factories and all that sort of stuff, also get treated the same way. The only thing you can do is lie to get your insurance done. I don't advise lying. Of course, that would be illegal. If you ever actually had a crash and you were a doctor and you said you were, retired, sitting at home and you go, well, hang on, you're driving to work. So it could be a problem in the future, but that's what we used to do in the 80s. We just tell them whatever. You have a garage? Yeah, sure, yeah. You have an alarm? Yeah, sure. We put a crook lock thing every night. We lock it up. Yeah, for sure. A padlock on the door, the whole thing. Car with windows open like that. Whatever it got you the cheapest insurance than what you used to do. You threw the G-Shock out through our window. No, I was in the army and I put the G-Shock on the bed and a fellow was shaking out all of the bed blocks and he shook out my G-Shock out of the third floor window. It fell out. This sounds like a fucking story to be honest with you, but it's actually true. It fell out, hit the tarmac, bounced again and fell onto sort of a grass verge yoke where a Land Rover ran over it. And then I went downstairs, picked it up, give it a wash, put it in my arm and went back to work. So yeah, that does happen, alright, yeah. Adrian says, my first car cost me £80 a Morris Minor. Morris Minor is still a good collector's item. You still get them reasonably cheap now. They can be rough enough. But you could pick up a fairly drivey Morris Minor, one you could have a little fun in on the weekends. Not fun. You can't have fun in a Morris Minor. What is it, 1.1 and maybe 45 horsepower. But you could take it to a classic car show on the weekends, maybe 3 to 5 grand. So they're not fetching big money because there was a lot of them made and a lot of them survived. They were actually painted properly so they didn't turn into a ball of rust. Garrett Desborough. My first car was £100 too, a 1967 Vauxhall Victor. Oh, what a car. Good car. You don't see any of them anymore either. They're gone too, aren't they? Learned about car mechanics quickly. Yeah, but it was a good looking thing though. It just looked brilliant. Vauxhall used to make some lovely looking yokes. Wouldn't survive it yet because it was going to be broke. All of Vauxhall cars broke. All of them. And all of the MGs. And all of the Rovers. Actually, all the English cars, in fairness to them, because because the way they made them. It was the way they made them. That's really what they were brilliant, and still brilliant at car stuff, making cars, doing cars. They like cars, but I do find that when they were manufacturing them many years ago, there wasn't a lot of men in shirts, and they had their own spanners and did their own things, and the cars were put together in a very hasty sort of fashion to try and get them out, because they were trying to push out as many cars as they possibly could onto the road. So things suffered. But yeah, Vauxhall Victor, I know exactly the car. It's a lovely thing. I've actually seen, there's a Holden version of that car, I think, in New Zealand that I can't remember the bloody name of now. I'll come back to you in a while. Leon Morley says, hi Bob, should I go for a Model 3 or a Mustang Mach-E? I wouldn't touch a Mustang Mach-E if you gave me one. I'd buy a Model 3. I'll tell you why I wouldn't touch a Mustang at the moment. Ford are in the infancy of electric. They are so far down the list of electric that they brought out a Kuga PHEV recently, which goes on fire when you charge it. They recalled it for that reason. I was supposed to have it tested here on the channel, and they had to recall it because it was going on fire. So I would, at the moment, until Mustang Mach-E is on the market for like 12 months, then come back to me and talk to me, because even Volkswagen just released the ID3, and that's a car company who was much further down the road of electric cars and couldn't quite get that one pulled off either. So I think all electric cars come out as a sort of an experiment, and then they go, right, well, now we know how to do that, so let's go and fix that. Whereas Model 3 and Tesla have been at this a bit longer, they're more experienced in this, they've got a better range of stuff going on. Plus Model 3, if you want to drive long range, Model 3 is going to be much better because they just have it nailed. Not going to be cheaper though. I actually have a little investigation going on right now because a good friend of mine brought his Model S to Poland. So he bought it here, he drove it to Poland and drove it back again on holidays to go and see his folks. He's from Poland. And he showed me the receipts for the mileage he put in and all of the fuel he put in, which is the electric, of course. And it turns out that it was about the same money it would have been for a diesel to do that same journey. So now, just about almost the same journey. Like the diesel may have even come in a little bit cheaper if you'd have roamed around and got the best diesel prices. Anyway, dynamic frame. Thoughts on a 2010 Alfa Giulia Cloverleaf? Your video from it many moons ago is no longer available. Yeah, take that down because there's music in it that didn't make any sense, and YouTube was going, music, you can't have that music, I'm afraid. But yeah, Giulietta Cloverleaf is a gorgeous car, but it will be broken. It will. I hope you know how to fix cars, because it definitely will be broken. Even the one I had here was broken, right? So the one that's in that video got towed out of my garage by the tow hitch dude and towed back to Dublin, and that's no joke. So it definitely will be broken, because they get ragged to bits, but like they're a joy to work on, they're a joy to drive, and they're working for the 10 minutes that they're working full time. It's brilliant. On the Emmerdale farm reference, Andy McPhee changed name to Emmerdale 31 years ago. Also, white roof defenders due to opening sequence are often referred to as Emmerdale as such. Oh yeah, I forgot that. I don't watch Emmerdale now, but I used to watch it years ago. We used to the whole country used to turn in for Emmerdale. I do remember the Land Rover, the white roof going on the road, yeah. Gareth Desborough says, what do you think of technology that is being developed to collect tyre particles direct on the car, Bob? EVs big offenders as ice for tyres. For sure. Have you ever walked down the side of a motorway? Like the filth the tyres make as they go down the road. The problem is tyres are noisy, right? If you put a microphone beside the M50, if you go up one of them gantry places and have a listen there at busy times, the volume is like 110 to 150 decibels all the time from traffic. So 75 decibels is where we really need to be, and under 75. So like a jumbo jet taking off makes 110 decibels. Like, it's really loud beside a motorway. But it's not just volume then. You have tyres and you have waste that's coming out. All that rubber sits on the side of the road. Look at a Formula 1 in hot climate, and you see the black strip down the side of the road, which is the tyres destroying themselves slowly but surely. It is a problem, and I don't know what the solution is. I know there's some tyre particle collector thing that's going on, but I don't know if that's even a solution. And EVs are like between 1.5 and 2 tons weight, which puts more pressure on the tyres, which means they wear out even quicker, which is a scary prospect for someone buying tyres. Like, you're going to buy more tyres? Because tyres are a stress purchase, and that's what happens. Tyres, nobody changes their tyres, they need to do an NCT, you know. Dara Kent, hi Bob, what's your engine should I get in a T-Roc on 21? I just skipped forward on me. Sorry there. I missed the end of that. Alright, should I get a T-Roc on 21? We'll be doing a little towing with it. T-Roc and towing. Okay, so what are you towing for a start, right? So towing is about two things. There's weight of the actual physical tow, the thing you're towing, and the trailer combined, right? So you need to work out that weight, because it's not so much that you can pull, anything can tow 2 tons, right? You could get 2 tons on the move with any diesel engine car, but can you stop the 2 tons at the other end? That's called the braking part, right? So if you've got crap little brakes in your car and you hit the brakes and you're towing something behind you, the car has to do all the work there, right? All the work. You might have brakes. If it's a caravan, you might have brakes attached, but it has to do all the work of slowing it down. So it's the braking capacity is as important as the towing capacity of it. And a T-Roc, as far as I'm aware, has drum brakes on the back of it, which are fine. Drum brakes are okay, but they're not as effective as disc brakes. So be really careful of that one, because the braking thing will frighten the bejesus out of you. The first time you hit the brakes and the car just goes on and on and on and still not slowing down. Okay, so really bear that in mind. You're going to have to get a diesel to tow it. Petrols are rubbish at towing, generally speaking, unless you get a great big one. And they eat fuel. They're just not good at towing. A diesel one does better at towing, but just check that the T-Roc is rated for towing and what is the weight of it, and are you towing a boat or are you towing a little tiny trailer out to the, a small trailer's fine going out as far as a dump or something, but if you're towing a caravan, if the caravan's 500, 800, 900 kgs, that's a whole other car you're pulling along behind you. Anyway, David C, bit of a random one. How long in advance would you want to be studying for driving theory test, would you think? Theory test, you really want to put in a couple of months into it, really, to kind of get it all down. I don't think, even if I sat down right now and took a theory test, I'd say I'd probably fail, because I'd say there's new shit after happening in the last couple of years that I wouldn't have a clue about or know what's going to happen next from. So I'm not sure how long you'd have to really study for it. Oh, hey, there's the missus up, looking really summery. She's like shorts, vest, t-shirt and a whole lot. Like, there's man of weather outside, for God's sake. This is mad. But the coffee's here, which is always good. Anthony C. Brown, thank you very much, has donated some money by Super Chat. Thank you for the ID3 review. How close are you to putting an EV in your driveway? Has the technology evolved where it makes sense for you? Always a fan. Thank you very much for being a fan, Anthony. Thank you. I'd love to put an EV in the driveway. I could easily replace my 15-year-old Seat Leon sitting out there that does 6,000 kilometers a year with an electric car. I even have a charger. The problem is they're too expensive. I could not see myself spending 33,000 euro, or if I went for a Zoe, say we're going back down to 28 or 27 for Zoe 50, I just can't see, because they're no fun. They're not fun to drive. They're not entertaining. Like that Leon has got a little buzz. He's a little buzz out when you get it up down. It's good fun to drive. So I just can't see an EV being the same sort of fun. And replacing a fun car with the utility car, a utility fridge car, is not what I want to do. So we don't commute, so I'm not looking to replace a long commute with it. I could easily, my wife could walk to work. We just get rid of a car altogether and walk to work. So at the moment, I don't think we're going to be replacing the car anytime soon, unless they come out really, really cheap all of a sudden. Where was I now? Oh yeah, advanced driver theory test. You want to just keep it in your mind. Just literally be thinking about it the whole time. That's how you do tests, and then just kind of revise a bit more on the day before. It's not that hard. I've done the online one. I think the RSA brought out an online one. They gave us around a link. We tried it and I passed it then, alright. It's not that hard. Really isn't. Adrian says, follow the Tesla Model X. Yes, what a huge vehicle. Yeah, it's funny. It looks small in pictures, until you're standing beside it and you realise the thing is like 6 foot tall. It's not small. It's actually like an off-roader. Essentially, it's an Audi Q7 size car, but it just looks like a sort of a hatchback. It's a weird car. I love it. I think it's a bit gimmicky. I think it's like the doors, the model, the falcon wing doors on and stuff. I think it's a little bit of a gimmick, but it's very cool. It's still very cool. Like, you really do get an awful lot of attention in them. Every child knows exactly what a Tesla is. Every single one of them. You go anywhere in a Tesla and you will. The hardest part of having a Tesla is when you get out of it to go to the shop. 99% of the time someone comes running over to talk to you about it. You just can't go on with your life doing stuff because you're in a Tesla. Jamie Campbell. Well, Bob, massive young fan of the channel. Come on, have you? I love you. You guys are deadly here. Of the channel, love your work, and see in the background you have a few Volkswagen models. Would you mind telling us where you get them, please? I have what? Oh yeah, these are little car things. So Volkswagen Group at everything used to start giving these things out. That's actually a Model 3 car model. It's an official Volkswagen model. Like, I never took it out of the box. And this is a Skoda Kodiaq. Is it? I think it is. Yeah, I think it's Skoda Kodiaq, that one. So when I used to go along to some of the press things, because often, like, you usually get nothing at press conferences stuff, you know, when you go overseas to anything. But for a while, they started bringing out, Volkswagen started doing models of their cars, and they just give them to us to reminisce. So I stuck them up there. I never took them out of the box. There's millions of those cars that have gone. The kids have them. We were getting little tiny ones. There was Citroens and stuff hanging around the place. And we got loads of them for a bit, and it just all disappeared over time and ended up in drawers and stuff. So that's those models in the background. I used to give stuff away all the time. I haven't gotten stuff in months. And I mean months since we've been to a press conference or anything. So I don't really have any pens or notepads or nothing that I'd normally give away to everybody. What do you think of the new Nissan Z Proto? Z is going to be a hard one to follow, boys. The Z range in Nissan. Look up the history of Nissan Z cars, Datsun Z cars. It goes back such a long way. It's going to be a scary place. Nissan have no money, and they are trying their best to claw themselves back out of the problem that they're in right now, which Carlos Ghosn, Renault, Nissan Alliance, all that sort of stuff, that caused such a close down. The car looks deadly and the ideas are brilliant. Now, whether it actually makes production is a whole different question, because it's like, I wouldn't like to be an accountant working in Nissan. I'd say every day you're going, I can't find a tenner to buy some coffee, lads. Forget it. Nissan must be in real trouble. But hopefully they survive, because Nissan were saved once before by Renault. So Nissan were out. Nissan were gone. They were broke back in 2000 and something or other. And we're just about ready to close the doors when Renault came in and went, you know, if we start an alliance, we give you some money and we get you going again. And that's what happened to Nissan. So they were saved before, and they've been in trouble pretty much ever since, always trying to get themselves back up. And they cancelled all the stuff that made them good in the first place, like the Primera, the Almira, the Sunny, the Cherry, all those cars that made them good. They got rid of them in favour of the Micra. They invented the Qashqai, which became the cash cow for them and still is, but now it's tired, it needs refreshing. So the whole company is in turmoil constantly, I'd say. I don't know anyone working in Nissan Global, but I'd say it must be an awful pain in the hole every day. But the Nissan Z Proto looks really good. Paul O'Connor says, vote number 1 for Bob Flavin. Yeah, next general election. We'll fix the injustice on insurance companies, only if it's a dictatorship, car tax and fuel prices. I would actually, if I thought I would last a day as a politician, I probably would, but I probably wouldn't, because the first thing I'd do is walk in and tell everybody what to do. So it'd be a difficult thing, but I have done chair meetings, and I've been a chairman of things, alright. But I'm not really a political animal in that respect. The political dynasties that govern us right now are the ones that are there all the time. Gordon McMillan says, try inventing an honest politician. I don't think, I honestly believe that politicians actually want to do a good job. I think they actually do want a clap on the back every once in a while, going, well done. Yeah, and that's why they do the potholes outside your door. And that's no joke. I think because it's a visible thing. You can see it being done. You can see what happened. I got all your lights fixed in your estate stuff. You know, that kind of thing is easy to do because it's a visible result. But you can't see a politician up there changing laws and writing things, unless it's like Pierce Doherty, who's very active on social media and will make a video and go, I've been calling this for 3-4 years. You know, he's very good at putting them words out. But I think a lot of the politicians up there right now actually do want to do a good job. I think there's a lot of hangers on. I think there's a lot of active people who in the background who sit back and will rubbish everything that everyone tries to do. And I think that's going to happen to Stephen Donnelly. I think he's been thrown under a bus getting the health gig, because nobody survives the health gig. And he was a good guy one time. Everybody liked him. Everybody thought he was going places. And then he joined Fianna Fáil and that kind of fell out very quickly. So I'm not sure. I think Ireland's politicians really exist. I think they're beaten to death by the system. I think the system really takes the good out of it, and that's the issue we have to deal with. I think, but right now we're in a change now. We're in a change of politics now and how politics works, and I think that's good for us. I think it'll cause a bit of a revolution around the edge of how politicians actually get elected and how things go on. Career politicians are by nature corrupt, in my opinion, says Andy McAfee. That's you're probably not far off in that they inherit their abilities. So politicians who get donations and get money from people for doing work for GA and all that sort of stuff, those kind of politicians, that the problem there is they learned, it's not off the ground elected, they learned it from their dad and their ma, who was a politician for 30 years, their brother who was the T-Roc at one point, and suddenly their brother gets elected into the same position in the same old seat, always carrying it forward. There's political dynasties out there we've been dealing with for a long time. And I really do mean dynasties. These people who are, for the last 40 years, have held a seat in West Wicklow or something. I don't know them, but I'm not a great politician in that respect. I know what's wrong, but I know how it could be fixed. But I'm more of a bulldozer. People ask me to intervene in things when there's no other option left, and I'll bulldoze something through to make it happen. And that's pretty much how it should be. And in some ways that would work for Ireland right now. What you really need is a leader, and I really don't believe that Micheál Martin is it. I think Leo Varadkar nearly had it. Nearly, but he's letting Micheál Martin just be an idiot, and that's all that's happening, is that Micheál Martin's just casting himself out the whole time. And sooner or later we're going to have the Green Party as the Taoiseach, and you're kind of going, oh my God, is this real? Is this real life? Is this just fantasy? Garrett says, Bob, thanks for being so balanced in your view of the right car for the job. Love EVs, I have one, but they're not right for everybody in every case. Well done, mate. Yeah, I actually get shouted down about that a lot. A lot of people go, no, EVs are the only way forward. When actually that's complete nonsense, that we could easily do this. If it wasn't just a bloody race right now, we could easily get our CO2 emissions down and the fleet up, and lots of things happening in the edge that we can all work together. It doesn't have to be this or that. It doesn't have to be EV or ICE. It can actually be a little bit of both as we get on. That Grandland I have out there right now is a PHEV, and it's so efficient, so really massively efficient of a car, that for the last 2 days that I've been driving the kids to school and back and doing a few bits around the town, I haven't even started the petrol engine in it. It never came on. And so it's like the efficiencies are huge in those kind of cars. It's totally possible. And yet you see reports now going, EVs or PHEVs are dirtier than electric cars or dirtier than ICE engine cars. You go, here we go, we can't do anything now. Eric Washer says, I think people that can attract road rage as well. One of those things you go looking for it, you'll find it. True. That's pretty much the same case with pretty much anything. If you go looking for young people doing donuts at night time, you'll find them. They're there. There's always something you can find if you really want to prove a point. Martin Smith says, remember what your mini EV video showed us a bit of Irish road rage as fun. Yeah, I know. But that's what happens. Is you drive along and it's just something goes on. You go, no, not again. And then that builds inside of people's minds. National Scallywag says, everybody seemed fine, but there will be whiplash claims crossing solicitors' desks. That happens, and the problem is that there's suddenly 5 members of the one family all have whiplash and back injuries and leg injuries and had to be cut out of cars, and people take advantage of the situation. Whereas if there was a cap, say whiplash was worth $3,000, right? Now you might contest it now, because whiplash is not provable. You walk into a doctor's office, say, I have a pain in my neck, doc, it's killing me, and I was in a car crash the other day and it's been hurting me ever since. He's just going to say whiplash, because you can't x-ray for that. You can't examine someone for whiplash. It's just there. It's like back pain. I've had back issues for years. For years and years and years. I slipped a disc when I was a young lad, and I've had back problems ever since. And you go to the doctor and he gives you anti-inflammatories or painkillers until it goes away again. That's it. There's no x-rays. There's no nothing. He just prods, a little prod here, and you go, that hurts. That's it. Good luck. You're on your own out that, because it's a muscular thing, so there's nothing you can do about it. And same for whiplash. Even though I've had headrests in cars for years, which are anti-whiplash headrests, and they've all been that way since the 90s. Don't pick your nose, your head will cave in. Yeah, sooner or later I'm going to put my brains out through my nose. Emergency lime. Emergency lime. Well, that's very important if you're having a gin, for sure. My first car was a 1986 Vauxhall Belmont, which had a good gearbox, but when in fifth gear you could move the stick left and right like it was in neutral. Yeah, some of them old cars were mad. You were lucky to have 5 gears in New York, actually. A lot of them only came with 4. But yeah, a lot of those old gearboxes, the way they were mounted, just because you pull the whole thing over towards you so the whole gearbox moves, you're actually moving the gearbox sometimes. Nigel Weir says, just switch it off TikTok, that is. Why though? TikTok is brilliant. If you're a social media animal, like a lot of people are, some people are on every social media, but there's no social media that speaks to younger generation people like TikTok, and there's no social media that speaks to kind of middle-aged kind of people over 30 like Instagram. And Facebook is like older generation people again, so even getting older. And and Twitter is a place of business. It's more like getting your news story out and trying to keep up with the current affairs of things. And then there's LinkedIn, where you try and get jobs. There's your lot, like. So TikTok doesn't really do a whole lot of harm. And you see it now. You begin to see TikToks, famous ones, appear on the news and appear on other platforms because people rob them and put them out somewhere else. Mine got robbed the other day. My TikTok of my Audi thing ended up on some other Facebook page. So it happens. That these things bleed into each other, but I think TikTok is a great place, a very positive place if you're looking at the right time and you're looking in the right places. Cormac Hickey, Audi Allroads A6 A4 opinion. A6 Allroad is one of the finest cars Audi actually ever made and sells like dead fish in this country because no one buys them. Very, very small sales of A6 Allroads. But they're brilliant. If you can lay your hands on an A6 Allroad bi-turbo, it sounds like a V8 driving on the road, but it's actually made by an actuator in the exhaust, but it sounds deadly and it's diesel. But lovely car. Will literally climb Everest and come back down again for tea. No bother. Great car. Cormac Hickey, Volvo V70 2.4 diesel D5 thoughts. Yeah, V70s were okay. A 2.4 diesel wasn't a brilliant engine in them though. It was nice, stable, very good at speed. So if you're driving on a motorway, you'd be very fuel efficient. But around town, it's quite jerky. It's quite you just can't put the power down. It's not good at lower revs. But really comfortable. V70s are nice cars. Really comfortable car. Big yoke. Not as big as the old like 840s and 830s or 850s, whatever they're called, the old Volvos that were out there, but still a big car. Ashton D, if you could buy one large SUV as a third car, 4 journeys mostly without financial restrictions, need to be comfortable, cope with the snow and go skiing once a year, what would you buy? Not a Range Rover. No, not a Range Rover. No, I wouldn't. Go on skiing. Buy like a Ford Ranger or something like those kind of pickup truck things would be probably the best thing, unless you need like multiple seats and a nice closed in back on them. But you can get an awful lot more stuff into those kind of pickup trucks than you can into anything else, and you can get them boxed in these days, so like people aren't going to steal or shopping out of them. Eric Quattro, the States are much more practical than most SUVs, despite what most people think they are. By far. I always, if someone asks me about a saloon car and there's an estate version of it, I will always recommend the estate first because it makes so much more sense. And as for those small SUVs, I don't even like calling them SUVs. You need a new classification for them. It's like a T-Roc. It's not an SUV. That's just a 5-door. That's a Polo. That's what that is, pushed up into the air. Might even be smaller than that. And the same for all of those kind of like Mazda 2 or the 2, whatever the Mazda version of those kind of CX versions. They're small cars. They're actually small, but they're pushed up in the air a little bit. So beware of what you're calling an SUV. An SUV to me is a big off-road vehicle. So it's a Volkswagen Amarok, it's a Ford Ranger. They're SUVs. They're the sports utility vehicles that can do anything and go anywhere and tow a tractor up a hill. That's what they're for. Nigel Weir, everyone used to have a garage. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, we used to have more space. There's less of us once upon a time. Now everybody has a house. So like everybody keeps building these 3-bedroom semi-detached houses. And so you can't build anything else. So that's what happens there. Adrian says, my colleague was getting insurance quotes for his next car. He found that having his wife as a named driver reduced the cost considerably. That happens to us as well. The same thing. My wife's insured on the car as well. Often naming a second household person on your insurance policy will bring down your insurance policy for sure. So a good way to do that for young drivers is to name yourself as the primary driver and your mother as the name driver, which should bring down your quote technically. You can try that, you know. Annie McPhee, when I insure bikes these days for storage, they require pictures sent of my shed and locks for human uses, Google Street View, etc. Don't confirm, seems right. They don't seem to for cars though. No, I never heard that one before. Never heard that before. That was a new one on me. But I also know something else. In Ireland, there's no NCT for motorbikes. It will come. It will. And they're going after the emissions of motorbikes as well. So it definitely will. Eventually, you'll see that NCT will come in for motorbikes as well as cars. And that'll be a dark day for the motorbike fraternity. The only thing that's holding it back right now is the majority of people who own motorbikes in Ireland are like doctors, dentists, solicitors. They're well-to-dos. Like, they wouldn't be, any old bloke up the road there. Scrolling down, it jumped forward to me. Hold on. Keep talking much yourselves again. Mark Turnspace says, give me a Mark III Vauxhall Cavalier GSI 2000 any day. Great car. Cavalier. Even the name Cavalier sounds good, doesn't it? Like Cavalier. It sounds like something that's going to be in problem. It's like they had great names like Nova and stuff. They're really good names. Even the later ones like Vectra had a better name than Insignia. Anyway, VW ID3 looks good. I think it's going to be a winner. I actually think Volkswagen have done some of the right things. I think they put a car together that is technically very efficient. Its mechanics underneath and the battery use and its range, and that's all works. It's all perfect. And the range I actually asked for on the dashboard is the range I really did get. So when it said I could do 380 kilometers, it really did actually go 380 kilometers. So in that respect, that was all brilliant. Where the letdown seems to be is the fit and finish on the interior. That the interior seems a little bit rushed and they've done some of the wrong things there. I don't know the reason behind that, but I kind of like the interior. I thought it was pretty good. And I think there's a big software update coming for ID3 in January this year, which will change the user interface and give you Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a whole lot to be installed. So if you buy it now, you're going to get different software anyway in the near future. So I wouldn't be too concerned about ID3. I think it's going to. I think it will eat into Tesla sales, but I think the competition will be good. Competition is fair play, really. When people start competing with you, you're doing the right thing. Annie McAfee, in just over 18 months' time in the UK, you'll be able to buy a used Ford Mustang 5-litre V8 manual. Oh my God, what a car. First registered on the 1st of the 4th, 2017 onwards, as long as it's at least 5 years old, 150 year. It makes me sick. I just go and lie down now in the corner. 150 quid a year for a 5-litre V8 manual Ford Mustang. God bless us and our CO2 boys. You know how that CO2 thing works, don't you? I'm not talking to you anymore. Leave me alone. Nigel Weir. We must have used Ionity chargers. Might not be many Tesla chargers in some parts of Eastern Europe. He used what the Tesla was bringing him to. So he just went the kind of shortest, most efficient route he could get that would take him by the regular chargers. But even with the Tesla chargers, superchargers involved, he still ended up paying basically the same as he would have in a standard diesel yoke. With he didn't get there any faster, any more efficiently, nothing particularly, although a diesel probably would have done it a few hours quicker. But really, the problem is the price of the electricity is starting to go up and down, and it's not stable, it's going up, and it's going to get more expensive. It's definitely going to go up in the next budget, I think. Nigel Weir, dust on motorways is full of heavy metals. It certainly is. The crap that's coming out of the back of your car drops onto the road and sits there. And bits and pieces just grinding stuff, just metal in general will be there too. But yes, it is. Motorways are definitely not a place to be hanging around having a good old time, breathing deeply or anything. You're Raymond Grace. Afternoon, Bob. Lovely day here in Mullingar. Mullingar, lovely place. I was down in Mullingar not so long ago. Adrian says, best car I've ever driven was an Audi S4 with a 4.2 litre V8 engine. So smooth, powerful and very comfortable. Brilliant car. 4.2, they mounted that thing as far forward behind the headlights as they could possibly do, which made it kind of behave a little bit weird in the corners. It would want to drag itself around the corner, so it would eat front tyres. Still a brilliant car though. What a noise that thing made. Absolutely brilliant. A bit like the noise of the Audi RS7 that I dropped back there last week. Clover Video, hi Bob, have you ever driven a Citroen Cactus? I have. Seen one for 7k and wondered which engine I should go for, petrol or diesel. The diesel one in the Cactus is actually pretty good. It's a good old engine. The petrol one is smooth. Now the problem with Cactus is that gearbox. The manual gearbox is really poor. I mean, you change gears by starting up there and pulling all the way back down to there. Just goes on forever. and the clutch was way too light, and the pedal box had a weird sort of an angle to it as well. So I wasn't a massive fan. I loved the Cactus, but in automatic it was much nicer. Not the be careful of robotized gearbox. If you can hear it changing gears as a robotized gearbox, it goes kids get seasick in the back of them. But nice car, yeah, pretty good. Go to diesel engine if you can. I love the little bump things on the outside. Citroen was doing some very clever things before they got basically shafted. Jared Hewitt has joined the chat. Come on, Jared Hewitt is there as well. Afternoon, Bob. Just out walking with two boys listening to the show live. Thanks. Saw Derek Riley of EV Review in Ireland out testing a Peugeot E208 drive by me just now. That's a nice plug that Derek got out of me right there now. That's just wonderful. I love those kind of plugs where people ask something about some other channel without paying some money for the plug, man. That's okay. E2008 is strange that I haven't had a drive in E2008 yet. I might have to ring Peugeot about that one. But yeah, I suppose everybody's going to have an old bash at an old review. Maybe I should get a job as a barber, or maybe go off and do some marketing or something, because it's nothing like having a pile of professionals on reviewing cars. Anyway, it's okay. Jim Shed, quick hello to everyone there from Jim the bus driver. Come on, Jim. Nigel, where only ID3 is out. The only ID3 that is out in Ireland. Well, no, it's out everywhere, but it's been delivered in Ireland. We kind of got them a little bit earlier than everyone else. It's not even out in the UK. My review is actually very early. I think Johnny Smith was the only other one I've seen review recently. Marcel, what do you be having for breakfast? I have porridge for breakfast. That's an odd question, but yes, I have porridge for breakfast usually with some fruit and honey, and I do other stuff in it as well. Or sometimes I have some poached eggs and things. Poached eggs, toast, and avocado are probably with chili flakes on it. It's probably my favourite food of all time. I'd happily eat that 3 times a day, 7 days a week, no bother. Smithy, looking forward to reviewing the tuned 330e, Bob. Yes, Smithy, we are meeting later this month. I was just looking at the calendar to make sure it wasn't like tomorrow. But yeah, we're meeting later this month for that review. That is coming up. Anthony C. Brown, given the global economic downturn pandemic, could you see a global auto sales dropping by 50% over the next 5 years? Industry consolidation coming. Industry consolidation is definitely coming. They are all starting in the background to work together anyway without actually buying each other out. They've been swapping parts and using each other's parts and things. So with that in mind, if you think about how that's working, how one company's making parts for the other company and they're actually selling business to business, you know what I mean? So that's definitely going to happen. Global car sales will have to drop. We cannot continue to manufacture as many cars as we are manufacturing, well, last year, and continue to turn over cars that fast, because the used car market is very buoyant, but right now people are not looking to buy brand new cars the whole time. It's just not happening as much as it used to. Our own new car sales have dropped by 18 or nearly 20% now. It will recover the next couple of months, but realistically, that's jobs. That those kind of jobs cannot be continued to be supported across the market, and that means that they're going to restrict manufacturing. It means they start getting rid of staff in factories, and this kind of downturn happens over that time. Realistically, we can't keep making new things all the time. We cannot continue to just make disposable things that we use a couple of times, then we get rid of, or in the case of a car, we keep for 3 years and then just dump and we get another one. Just get another new car. Forget about what happens to that one. You get a guaranteed minimum future value. It's fine. It's okay. It's gone. What happens though? Really? Where did it go? How did it get recycled? Do they need to be made? Do we need another car? Do we need another car reviewer? Do we need another journalist? Do we need, there's always a reason to continue using what you got rather than keep on flipping about looking for the latest thing to do and sell and buy, and it's that sort of stuff. Reinvention is what we really need. 95 John Orr. Hi Bob. Opinions on buying cars that were previously written off by insurer but professionally repaired. Once you have an engineer's report and the engineer says it's okay, I would trust the engineer. I'll be dead honest with you. Don't cheat the guys. Ask the engineer, is it actually repairable, doable? Can you do it? There's category write-offs that are we think of a write-off as being a car looks like an accordion. It's been crushed, and the problem there is that you have a situation where a write-off is a not economic write-off. So economically, to repair the car would cost more than it's worth. Now that could be airbags going off. That could be It could be so many different reasons. As long as the engine's okay and the chassis straight, because chassis aren't what they used to be either. Chassis aren't a ladder chassis. What's called a ladder chassis. So like a H, 2 bars going down, 2 bars going across, and everything's connected to those two things. It doesn't look like that anymore. Now chassis are all floating. They're kind of connected. Some of it's connected to the front, some to the back, some to the middle, and the body all connects it all together. So if a car takes damage now, it tends to be written off very early, because it could be 30 grand of damage done and it looks like there's nothing done to the car, by the time you repair everything. So repairing them is okay if it works. If the engineer says it's 100%, you gotta trust the engineer and you do it properly. Nigel Weir says politicians are only a reflection of society. I would agree with that, actually, Nigel. No, you're not far off there. Joey, I can't pronounce your last name. Hi Bob, hope you're keeping well. Any idea when the Octavia review is coming? In your opinions, I only have 3 engine choice available to Irish customers. I know, it's about 2 weeks before I actually have the Octavia for a test. Looks interesting. I have to say the Octavia's gotten very expensive though, and I think all the Skodas are getting expensive, and I think that's a problem in the Skoda group currently right now, that we're looking at cars that are, well, not reasonably priced out Skodas we used to get. You know what I mean? Skoda used to be like the more affordable Volkswagen, but no, it isn't. So like now a Skoda Octavia costs a fair whack of cash for just what should be a good, decent family hatchback. But I'm going to go into that when I actually get the car. I'll tell you better in the future as whether it's actually something that we should be worried about or not. Do you think Brexit will affect car prices in the UK and Ireland? Yeah, it already has, for sure. We get an awful lot of our stuff through here, but we've gone from 60% of our exports going to the UK to 18% of our exports going to the UK because of Brexit. So the reverse has happened with that as well. So bear that in mind, that the reverse of that, exports are down the opposite direction as well. We have started to source imports from European countries that we would have otherwise taken from the UK. So you got to remember that one. Things that are affected, even like egg manufacturing in the Northern Ireland, where some of the plants that are over the border would have supplied us with eggs. Now we're starting to look inwards and get eggs from other places. So you're really careful of what's happening for smaller businesses. It's already taking place. Like, business doesn't wait for Boris Johnson to make his mind up. Business is a privately run thing and just does what it has to do to survive. As a business guy, as of someone who runs his own business, done so for years now, I can tell you, you do what it takes to keep your head above water, no matter what. And once a threat comes that threatens what your livelihood is, you got to come out fighting, or you die right there on your sword, and there's nothing you can do about it. So be aware that already car manufacturing, already the supply chain of how cars come into the country has already changed. Whether Brexit goes ahead or not, it's already happening. Scrolling down now, just catching up on audio. And vans, buses, lorries should be subsidised and changed to EVs. I would definitely say buses, particularly city buses, should have been changed over to EV, electric cars, electric buses. 4 or 5 years ago, we could have done that easily. And easily, there's hydrogen buses that have been operating in Northern Europe for multiple years right now. So we could have done this a long time ago, which would have definitely cleaned up Dublin city centre, which is filthy. Those Dublin buses are filthy. They're probably the cleanest those diesels could ever be, but it was totally inefficient to use a diesel on a Dublin bus every single day. It's stinking, and the exhaust pipes point straight at the pedestrians as well. Did you notice that in Dublin? Anyway, it's because they would change the side of the drive, but didn't change the side of the exhaust. JXMC says, watch any type of motorsport? Not really. Used to watch BTCC a bit. And used to watch a bit of Formula 1, but Formula 1's just become so predictable and kind of meh. Unless you're really wealthy, Formula 1 you're never going to make it in Formula 1 sort of thing, so there's not much left to kind of watch after that. And of course, pandemic has shut down everything else anyway. I've no time either, just no time to watch sports. It takes so long. Martin Smith, think what Nigel Weir means, Bob, is that only since the TikTok platform has been running alongside Sunday service as the platform with live chat repeating questions started. Live chat repeating questions. Oh no, that's just new subscribers. We're not a closed environment. We allow new people to come in. There are new subscribers that are coming in just trying to get the hang of how this works and how the Sunday service has developed over the years. A lot of you guys are old hands at this, so you're alright. You sit down, you kind of click things and you listen and you chime in every once in a while, and that's the way it's always been. But when new people join, they don't know the kind of routine of it. Some people don't even think it's live, and then other people just don't have patience. So they're not waiting. They're not going to wait for an answer to a question. They ask the question, then they're gone. They disappear off as the watch time drops away, and they just don't wait for the answer. So that's okay. They'll come and go, and it'll all settle back down again in another couple of weeks. But it is a massive new audience for me, an entirely new audience as well. People who've never even heard of cars are in TikTok land. So I answered their questions there too, which is killing my voice, but it's getting there. Clover Video, hi Bob, what do you think about overcomplicated parking machines? Oh, parking machines drive me up the wall. I used one the other day and it took 10 minutes to get the ticket. Regards to your absolute man. Parking machines, how is it we've had parking machines for 50 bleeding years and we still can't make one that looks like any other one? You walk up and you want to pay for your parking and you need coins. Who has coins now? With the pandemic thing on, I don't even have cash notes in my pocket anymore. I just use a card. See, to go off trundle off to a shop that won't give you change and they won't do anything for you, to find an ATM, by the time you come back you might as well not bother. And if you have those other ones parked by text joke, do you ever try one of them? Just for the laugh. It's even worth your time. Just for the laugh. Do the text message thing, because it's a joke. It makes no sense at all. You need to have a degree in mathematics to try and figure out how it works. They're all crap, if I'm dead honest. Apart from the ones that, again, private places show the way. You know, when you go into a shopping centre and you walk up and you put your ticket in and you put the card in after the ticket comes out and the card comes out. Genius. Like, it's so simple. Just instant changeover. For private businesses, just go, oh Christ, yeah, we don't want people putting coins and putting machines, notes into that. Just change over the card. Done. There's always a way. Oh, rolling forward there. We hopped forward again. Thank you very much for doing that. You're much obliged. You son of a bitch. Sorry, I'll scroll forward. We'll be back in a minute. Andy McAfee. It seems the standard new builds with garage for the last 15 years are designed to fit only 3 cars: VW Up, Skoda Citigo, and Say It Me, with all others need to try. I love those 3 cars. I'd love there's a Skoda Citigo that I drive by when I'm dropping the kids to school in the morning, and it's a Monte Carlo one, and it's here in the town, and you've got the little checkered stripe down the front. It's just such a handsome little car. Why did they stop making that thing? It's such a handsome little yoke. If you ever need a professional advice, go on a biker forum. Big Hairy Bob 69 will be a solicitor, and Wild Hog Italian 50 would be the barrister. That's true, probably. You know that? I'm not messing with you. You'd be surprised. These guys that sit on forums all day long answering questions. Well, I think you find that I'm a solicitor, and his name is like Big Hairy Bob. It's funny, like. Rory Boss says options on the 2-litre Fiesta ST 2008. All the STs have always been really good in Fiesta. Not so much in Focus, they've had some hit and miss ones, but the Fiesta's always been really, really good as an ST model. Exceptional car, but who buys them, Rory, is the kind of person who drives a car, so expect shock absorbers, track rod ends, ball joints have all taken a fierce punishment. Possibly the handbrake cable, handbrake in the back, because they do handbrake turns quite well. You know, they tend to be ragged and driven, and that's okay, because a lot of those cars are built to cope with that sort of thing. But just when you're buying the thing, you're looking at it, that's what you're looking under. Look under the cars. If you're looking at a car like that, you're best to either bring a mechanic who's worked on one, you know, if someone has done a bit of jobs on them, or bring a set of overalls yourself and just get under the car. Just get under, have a look, make sure there's nothing there that's damaged or hanging off it, or, you know, sins millions can be hidden underneath the car, I promise you. We're at the 4 o'clock mark. We're going to keep going. It's not quite there yet. Nigel Weir, first car was an Allegro. My God, an Allegro. Did that even run? 1.3, 1973, 13 years old, body good, suspension hydroelastic. Good suspension, fairness. Early version in square steering wheel. Yeah, I remember that. It was box steering wheel. Just a square, flat in the top, flat in the bottom, square in the sides. So oddball. And it was really thin, like really thin. I could wrap my hand around them several times. That was the days. Made money on the number plate. Amazing. Allegro. Do you know Austin at the end had a talking car? Do you remember that thing? Was that the Allegro at the end? By the time they'd come into the 80s, that a car was able to talk to you, but it sure broke every 5 seconds. Your views on Arteon or line, Bob, please, Raymond Grace. I like Arteon. It replaced the CC and the Passat CC before that. It's a good car. It's a Passat underneath, essentially. RT on exterior, looks savage, really good look on the outside of the car. The one thing that disappoints me is the air vent across the whole front of the thing actually makes the interior really cold for no apparent reason. It's really cold in there, but other than that, you're buying a Passat. It's a good car, really good car. You have no problem with that at all. We shot forward there because Sabzib was deleted. You were deleted. Now Banhammer's out. See, Eric and Andy are like, no, can't do that. Ashton D. In the UK, there are all sorts of sports car buying platforms where you can get substantial discounts off brand new cars. Is there equivalent in Ireland? No, we have a closed market here. You can't have that. You can't be doing that now, boss. No. You can't be selling cars like that. No. The only way you can get good discounts here is to go and talk to a dealership about cars as to what you're looking for. There's a few really good lads who really do work hard on their prices out there in among the dealerships. They're not main dealers either. They just work very hard to get the car you're looking for. There's a number of them. I don't want to give anybody a particular shout out right now because you give one person a shout out and everybody else wants a shout out in the blink of an eye. So, but there's plenty of good dealerships in Ireland to go on after that stuff. There's just not much online. It is a physical thing. You kind of got to know somebody. Crabbed Sun 10. They were using a Skoda Enyaq EV at the Tour de France. Correct. I've driven a Skoda Enyaq EV. It is on my channel. I drove the pre-production disguised one right here in Ireland. We did the testing here in Ireland for the suspension and some other stuff they were testing here as well. Some weird things they were testing here. That's the way Skoda turned up. Andy McPhee, city buses all used to be EVs many decades ago. So we used to have trams in Dublin. Dublin was covered in trams. We had a really good railway network in Ireland as well. Really good. Ripped the whole lot up for cars. Daniel H, what do you think of the 1.8 VVT 2007 Vectra? I don't fit in Vectras. They don't have reach on the steering wheel, only rake. It goes up and down, but it won't go in and out. And so I don't fit in a Vectra. You're either on top of the steering wheel or it's too far away. That's the only way I can fit in a Vectra. The engine's okay. The VVT engine was actually fine. It's variable valve timing, so they're pretty good. Standard enough engines, been around for a long time, and in various sizes and forms have been used in all sorts of other cars as well. So no problem with the engine part of it. Just I don't fit in Vectras. If you can get a good one and hold on to it, you actually go up in price because Vectra's dead now and gone. It was actually a very respectable car, well sold. The boot leaks on the liftback one. Not on the saloon is fine, but the liftback one does leak. Adrian says BTCC is best motorsport. Tis. Dylan, thoughts on insurance for 19-year-old fella named driver on Mam's Corsa, €1,900. Passed my test last year, but never got insurance yet. 1900 any good, or should I phone around? I'd still phone around. It's with FBD. I'd phone around. I know Axe has been doing some good, according to TikTok, has been doing some good deals for young drivers. A lot of young drivers are telling me that it goes down there. 1900's not terrible. You've been named driver, which doesn't really stand to you. Some of them will take that. AXA takes that. If you've been a named driver the last 2 years, that stands to you as a no claims discount. But a lot of them won't. A lot of them start you from scratch. So I wouldn't stop at FBD. I'd ring around, ask AXA, and tell them it's 1900 quid with FBD, and you beat that. Start there. I use the Park Magic app, works well for the UK. Yeah, there's a couple of apps that are coming on the market here, which is coming alright for sure. We'll eventually get the parking things, but I know parking in the UK is something that's taken very seriously, and I'm aware of that. I'm very aware of that. Your ability to be able to park your car properly in the UK is something that's right there, and also just generally parking. Just paying for parking things. It's a pain in the hole. Joe Tats' his opinion on Skoda Fabius. Which one? How? What year? There's so many Fabius. Fabius been around for a very long time. Current model Fabius is very nice, very good to drive. Nice car, looks really good in oddball colours. The previous one I drove back from Portugal to Ireland, and that was really good. I like that Fabia. That's really nice. AMG line. Oh, AMG line. Yeah, I just have a problem with line, S line, AMG line. I have a problem with those things because it's just like it's a standard diesel yoke with a kit on it, and they say S line. But yeah, no, they're okay. 2018 GLE 250D, thoughts is a nice car. They're fine. Yeah, it's a current Fabius. Is Joe Tatch? Yeah, they're a good car then. No problem with that. Listen, it is after 4 p.m. It has been an interesting day. We've had a lot of people on today. As in fact, we've had more than 2,500 people have joined us today to watch the Sunday service. It really has grown up to be a show of its own, which is kind of weird. I will probably not be here next week unless something befalls the entire country and we can't go anywhere. But right now, I will replace the Sunday service next week with a review of a car instead, which is probably the best way out of it. So there'll be 2 reviews out next week. I'm going to put out the Audi RS7 next. and then I'll put out another one next weekend, maybe the Grandland or something like that. I'll put out next weekend. I've got a few queued up at the moment to be in there. It's been beautiful to have you along today. Thank you very much. You will find me on TikTok. You will find me on Twitter. You will find me on Instagram. You find me on Facebook. You'll find me wherever. I'm pretty much everywhere. The best way to do it is to go to Google and type Bob Flavin, and you will find me that way. It's probably the easiest way out. And my inbox in most of those places is kind of broken, so don't worry, it's alright. It'll come back to normal eventually when TikTok calms down, but we'll get there. It's fine. It's all good. Thank you very much for the support. Please check out the links down below. Noah is the link I really want to check out. They're very good. They support this channel incredibly well. It'd be great to have you aboard on that, and get you involved in Noah as well as an app for the news thing. It's great. You support proper journalism. You're supporting a proper Irish business, and it's really, really good. It's going to be a global sensation. I can feed it in my bones. Thank you very much for joining me today. Look after yourselves for the rest of this week. We're going to have good weather for the next couple of days, so blue skies abound. I'm going out to sit in the backyard, maybe have a little glass of beer. Don't mention the beer thing. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and until the next time, I will see you on the far side.